What if the weakest mage in history was actually a secret genius? Meet Hale, rejected by the Magic Academy, laughed at by his classmates, called useless by even his own family and everyone. But today, his power awakens. When he finds the forbidden book of the Archmage, he unlocks OP magical abilities, becoming a genius prodigy. Do you like it so far? If so, then let's begin. The Shin family of Korea, the most prestigious magical family. Among their many geniuses, one stands out, known for his exceptional talent until that incident. A man, with a face of authority, asks if Hale understands this. The third son of the Shin family, Shin Hale, answers confidently, his face lit with sparks. He assures his father that he will deliver results that live up to the Shin family's name. Promising to graduate top of Obelisk Academy, he aims to become the world's greatest mage. His father tells him that his talent surpasses his brother's, unmatched by anyone. With pride, his father expresses excitement for what lies ahead. Confidently, Hale responds, knowing he will not fail. Without a doubt, he will surpass his father and become the greatest mage. 2 years pass, and now at Obelisk Academy of Magic, a teacher announces that today is the practical exam. Baek Sayuk, wearing a cocky grin, says there's no reason to feel nervous. Confidently, he declares that the bottom rank is already decided. It's Shin Hale, who can't even use basic magic, and he questions how Hale even made it to second year. Mockingly, Sayuk sticks his tongue out, calling Hale worthless trash. Unfazed by the insult, Shin Hale doesn't even bother to respond. The practical exam begins with Baek Sayuk going first. Summoning a fireball, he unleashes a tremendous amount of fiery power. He passes the exam easily within the time limit, showing no trouble. Modern magic has drastically evolved, especially with AI technology. Mages today have AI chips implanted, allowing them to cast spells effortlessly. But Shin Hale is unfit for such advancements, unable to use them. Now, it's Shin Hale's turn for the exam. He starts chanting, trying to enhance the incantations as best as he can. Unfortunately, a monster attacks before he can finish the chant. Sayuk mocks him, laughing at the pitiful magic attempt. Anger flashes across Shin Hale's face as he hears Sayuk's words. Still mocking, Sayuk calls Hale an outdated mage, unfit for this day and age. He claims magic is no longer for someone like Hale. Despite the obstacles, Hale manages to finish the incantation, defeating the monsters. But the monster suppression test goes over time, and Hale fails. Everyone laughs, finding amusement in his failure. Frustrated by his own failure, Hale feels disappointment. Yet, a small part of him is pleased, seeing how much his incantation speed improved. After being deemed unfit for AI, his father gave up all hopes for him. In fact, his father even sent medicine to destroy the mana circle in his heart. However, Hale has no intention of giving up on his dreams. His path now leads him to learn traditional magic through books, not AI. He wishes these old books were available in ebook format, as space is limited. One particular book catches his attention. He opens it up, intrigued by what he might find. Flipping through the pages, he notes that it looks old yet fancy and expensive. The handwriting is hard to read, full of scribbles. Reading aloud, he stumbles upon the words, Ray Bell Bitinio. Ray Bell Bitinio, the first Grand Mage of humanity, and the first Emperor of the Magus Empire of Bitinio. He is known as the creator of all magic. Hale remembers reading about him in biographies when he was younger. Suddenly, rays of light begin to shine from the book. It becomes hard for Hale to even look at the light, its brightness overwhelming. The light intensifies, almost blinding him. Hale feels as if something strange is happening from the light. The book flips open on the ground, and a voice echoes, "To those who share my constitution and can hear my voice, I, Ray Bell Bitinio, leave you this book." Shin Hale hears a voice coming from the book, unsure if it's real. At that moment, Hale doesn't realize that being unsuitable is actually a stroke of luck. The student who failed the practical exam must now attend remedial classes. He hears someone mention that he failed, rejected by AI. Hale, who can do nothing but endure feeling powerless, had no idea that he would soon be revived. The next day, at the prestigious Obelisk Academy of Magic, students fill the cafeteria, sitting with their friends. Among them is Shin Hale, sitting alone. Someone approaches, commenting that Hale is eating alone again today. Hale replies, "Yeah, did you come?" The man sits down, saying the food looks good, too. His name is Ji Sun-chan. He's in the Academy's top 10 and became a third circle magician at 18. Sun-chan is quite skilled and known for his talents. He asks Hale to give him the food he's not eating. Sun-chan is the only person Hale can truly call a friend at school. He tells him to tell about anyone who bullies him. He'll deal with it. Saying he's fine, Hale shares the story about the book he found yesterday. The strange book, where everything after page 3 is blank. He explains that it's about Ray Bell by Tenio, and he even heard voices when opening it. The book mentions that it's meant for his successor and can only be opened by someone with a similar constitution. Sun-chan, finding it interesting, asks if he can try opening it. Hale adds that the last page says, it says to die first, and to create a mana circle in the brain, not the heart. Sun-chan, completely confused, hears Hale say this. At the Obelisk Academy student dormitory, Hale hands him the book, unsure what will happen next. Sun-chan tries opening it with all his might, but he can't, suspecting that it might have a locking spell. He tells Hale he'll leave, wishing him good night. As he's done with it, Sun-chan leaves through the door while Hale watches quietly. Alone, Hale opens the book, now filled with strange scribbles. To his surprise, it's incredibly easy to open. Some ancient language is written on the page that was once blank. To my successor, if my guess is right, you're probably using a mana circle in your heart to cast magic. To ordinary people, that's the norm. But for you, and for me, it's not the right way. Strange things begin to happen again as Hale watches. A voice says, if you accept my will and are prepared to be my disciple, destroy the mana circle in your heart, and create a mana circle in your brain. Then, open this book again. Hale thinks this is a bad joke, still forcing him to create a mana circle in his brain. Mana, the source of magic, is toxic to the brain. If it enters the brain, the mind will collapse, or worse, lead to brain death, which means it's practically telling him to die quickly. He wonders who would do such a thing as he prepares to sleep. The book lies on the table as Hale drifts off to sleep. At the prestigious Obelisk Academy of Magic, the instructor asks Shin Hale what's going on. He hands the book to the instructor, asking him to check it. The instructor notes that it's written in ancient script. He finds it quite old. As he takes a look at the book, when the instructor asks what he should check, Hale says to just open the book. Check if it's sealed by magic because of the rumor. Hale adds. The instructor tells him not to focus on rumors, but on his academics. The teacher concentrates for a moment, hoping to find something. He says there's no trace of magic in the book, much to his surprise. Hale had hoped there might be even the smallest trace. He is surprised that neither Sun-chan nor the teacher could open the book. With a smirk, he thinks, there's a chance it could be real. That night, sitting in his chair, he ponders deeply. He looks at the medicines in his hand. The medicines his father sent to destroy the mana circle. If he takes them, the mana circle in his heart will be destroyed. His father had told him to forget magic and focus on theory. But Hale thinks he's not going to give up on magic. He picks up some medicine, thinking, don't be scared. After all, his life was already on the edge. He swallows the medicines, thinking he might die today. He wakes up in confusion as he holds his mouth covered in sweat. To his surprise, he's still alive. But the pain is unbearable, like nothing he's felt before. The mana circle connected to his heart begins breaking apart. This pain, it's the death of a magician. From now on, it's a forbidden challenge and he has to circulate mana through the brain. The voice echoes from the book, until now, I am living again as a magician. Circulating mana through his brain, the pain starts fading away. He wonders if this is what death really feels like. At that moment, a whisper reaches his ears. A hand, soft as a soul's touch, brushes against his ears. The voice asks, can you hear me, future generation? Light and darkness, sky and earth, the spirits of mana dance, whispering as they coexist with it. He hears the voice while his eyes are still closed. It's laughing, singing, almost as if blessing him. He opens his eyes, feeling as if he just woke from death. Doubt fills him. Is he truly alive? He looks at the book, watching as the pages flip by themselves. Holding the book, he starts reading, finding new words on the blank page. The voice becomes clearer now, stronger. The voice congratulates him for taking the first step. Idard, that's the name of the book. From this moment, his legend begins through Idard. Hale struggles to grasp all the words he heard from Idard. The voice echoes, I leave all my magic to you, to those who come after him, to those who come after him. The voice asks, should I call you my disciple? Joy shines in Hale's eyes as the voice echoes, my disciple. A few days later, at the prestigious Obelisk Academy of Magic, the teacher is lecturing in the classroom to the students around. Hale, lost in thought, notices a new entry in his book, thinking who knew magic could be this fun? Idard holds knowledge. It's a wealth of knowledge. To begin, mana has a will of its own. When mana enters the brain, most are destroyed by its will, acting as poison. The brain's will blocks the manas, and that's why it doesn't destroy him. He realizes this explains his natural resistance to AI chips. While he's thinking, the teacher calls everyone's attention. There's a midterm evaluation coming up. With an added new rule, the teacher announces. Everyone is confused about the new rule. Hale, too, wonders. Starting this year, any student who fails to meet the standard will be expelled. The teacher's sharp eyes scan the room with authority. Sensing the tension, he laughs, telling them the new rule was proposed by the head of the Shin family. Baek grins. It's time to get rid of the defective ones. The teacher chuckles, pointing out a borderline student in the class. Deep in thought, Hale listens, feeling uneasy. He thinks of his father, wondering about his proposition. It's evening. The sky, cloudy with a yellow tint. People are walking home, finishing their day's work. Hale thinks the rental simulation center is way too expensive. Checking his phone, he sees it costs 200,000 won per hour. He enters the rental simulation center, greeted by the staff. Asking for an hour, the staff wonders if he's going alone. He's directed to room 14, receiving instructions for the hologram device. He tells them he already knows how to use it. The staff recognizes him, thinking he's unlucky to be labeled unfit for AI despite being Noble's son. In room 14, at the training simulation center, Shin initiates the wolf challenge quest, preparing himself. A pack of wolves surrounds him, ready to attack. The wolves look fierce, even though they're simulations, feeling almost real. Shin thinks, taking down 10 of them won't be easy, even if they're low rank. The average academy clear time for the wolf challenge is 12 minutes and 33 seconds. He's been practicing what's written in the Eitered book every day, so this is the best way to test his progress. He prepares to take on the challenge using his new mana circle. He activates the infinity circle, ready to fight. The wolves charge at him with terrifying speed. Using his water skills, he blocks their advance, feeling in control. The feeling is incredible, something he's never experienced before. He can't even believe this is true power. While other wizards circulate mana through their hearts to use AI magic, he circulates mana through his entire body, using his brain instead. Thanks to the infinity circle, his hidden power is finally unleashed. The voice echoes, "Don't be surprised by this level, my disciple. You have a long way to go." The infinity circle is just the foundation of the Baitinio-style magic. It's about controlling magic with images formed in the mind. A hand, soft as a soul, touches his head. The voice continues, "This is the first book of Baitinio-style magic. The heart's intent. This is the first step in Baitinio-style magic." The staff thanks him as he leaves, telling him to come back again, and heads back to room 14, wishing to go home soon. Walking in, he wonders how the fallen genius used to train. He's shocked to see what's in front of him. Seeing Hale's completed the challenge in just 6 minutes and 37 seconds, international competition level. He kicks the machine, thinking it's broken, but the results are clear. With his new power, Hale feels confident and unstoppable. This marks the beginning of a legend. Forming the first circle Sime was a real struggle for Hale. The records in Eitered's book feel entirely different from the magic he's learned. The voice echoes, "Mana is your arms, your legs, your heart, your mind. Move as you wish." Pondering, he wonders what such vague words even mean to find enlightenment. It's like a thought hidden behind a transparent curtain. He almost grasps it but can't. In magic studies, they call this the wall of enlightenment, when magicians hit their limits. This has been true throughout every era, a challenge that all face. Focusing on circulating mana through his entire body, he trains as per the book, wondering, is this enough? By the time focus is regained, 10 hours pass while circulating mana. It's already morning, and though still a little exhausted, a sense of accomplishment remains. In a happy mood, his friend greets him warmly. Noticing Hale looks drained, they ask if he's alright. Thinking that constantly being aware of mana circulation isn't easy, he wishes to adapt quickly. Achieving the second circle at 12, they called him a prodigy. His father had high hopes, but now, only able to manage a first circle in his brain's mana system. Breaking the wall of enlightenment is vital for progressing in magic. His father's words from when there were still high expectations linger in his mind. Perfection is just a chain. Those words and his father's face still haunt him. A lie born from human arrogance. He begins to see the truth. Finding his answers, he mutters that perfection is a lie. Meditating with new motivation, he trains again. Feeling something shift, it's different this time. Mana flows through his arms, legs, his heart, and mind move as desired. Calmly holding a fireball in his hand, it feels perfect. It's imperfect, but free imagination, that's what it is. A grin appears as he casts an instant spell. No incantation needed. AI magic uses shortened incantations to activate spells. This method has consistency, but Bitna's approach is different. It's about freeing one's thoughts, a spell that can change shape at will. Ignoring the algorithmic structure of magic formulas, the spell moves as it wishes. Hale smiles widely, creating birds from fire. They take flight with ease. Watching them, a smile appears on his face. He's happy with the result. Still at the first circle, it's physically exhausting, but he's proud. Overjoyed, he can hardly believe he's using such impossible magic. Breaking past the wall of enlightenment, he's closer to greater heights. Under a bright sunny sky at the academy, the instructor arrives with news. Shin Hale has a visitor. Surprised, he wonders who would visit him. As he follows the instructor, he's told that his father has come to see him. Unprepared, he never expected his father to visit him. In the drawing room, his father waits, calling for him to come in. He's not expecting his father to show up here. The instructor mentions he has brought brought Hale. His father's fierce eyes meet his, full of intensity. After a brief moment, Hale greets him, saying it's been a while. The instructor, understanding the tension, quietly leaves the room. Sitting on the sofa, his father starts speaking first. With that same fierce look, his father asks about the medicine, and Hale says he took it recently. Composed, Hale responds, saying he's making progress with his magic. Disappointed, his father tells him he's still chasing a hopeless dream. Confidently, Hale says he's determined to move forward, no matter the cost, to become the grand magician who leads this era. Their eyes meet, each one firm in their own belief. His father, disappointed, remarks that he's already wasted a year. With a serious tone, he says it's time to face reality. No matter how hard he works, or what he accomplishes, as long as he rejects AI magic, he'll never be a true magician. Yet, he acknowledges Hale's talent and tells him to focus on magic theory, not backing down. With unwavering resolve, Hale says he won't give up. He doesn't want an ordinary life, relying on his father's name. Standing up, he feels there's no point in continuing the conversation. He enthusiastically announces his desire to become the next head of the magician family. His father, looking disappointed, says ambition alone won't make him a grand magician. With a confident smile, Hale remains unfazed, ready to prove him wrong. Doubt in his father's eyes, asking if Hale intends to meet just the minimum standards. Hale promises to place within the top 10 in the test. If he fails, he'll focus on studying theory, as suggested. But if he succeeds, his father will have to acknowledge him and provide full support. Still disappointed, his father warns that only achievement can silence his unwarranted confidence. As his father prepares to leave, he pauses and looks back at Hale, telling him that the achievement better not be meaningless. He prepares to go. Hale watches his father leave, a look of quiet contemplation. A bright, sunny day greets him again. A few days later, the prestigious Obelisk Academy is buzzing with excitement. The instructor announces the evaluation test method to the class. Students chat about one-on-one duels, while others hope for monster extermination. The test method this time is a single elimination tournament, a duel to the finish. Focused, Hale listens intently as the instructor explains the test will last for 3 days. Sayuk and his partner grin, feeling confident about their chances, while Hale wears a determined expression, ready to prove his worth. The duel test is his opportunity to show what he's truly capable of. It's a bright, sunny day at the prestigious Obelisk Academy of Magic. Students are talking about the duel, buzzing with excitement. Hale notices the entire school is excited for the midterm verification test. The Magic Tower, an organization of 12 high-class magicians worldwide, holds immense power. It has the same power as entire nations, and every student dreams of joining. Sayuk approaches Hale, who is minding his own business, not interested. With a mocking expression, Sayuk asks about Hale's condition. Hale shows a completely uninterested face, trying to ignore him. Sayuk, an upper-class student in his second year, is insufferable. Sayuk confidently says the first match will be with him. Explaining, he adds that Hale is obviously screwed. Coming closer, Sayuk mentions getting proper revenge for 5 years ago. Hale sighs, remembering 5 years ago during the Junior Magic Tournament finals. Sayuk lost miserably, even crying after the match. After that, Hale was given the nickname Loner Wizard by the world. Now, seeing himself as a misfit, Sayuk harasses him, claiming he'll be expelled. Sayuk says he'll beat Hale to a pulp until he gets expelled. Laughing, he says Hale will cry all the way home. Hale, however, feels pleased as this is his golden opportunity, a perfect chance to show his skills during the midterm exam. Mocking, Hale tells Sayuk exactly that what's going to happen to him. Sayuk, enraged, glares at him. The students watch as the two mock each other, exchanging verbal jabs. Sayuk asks if Hale has gone insane. He tells Hale that he doesn't understand his situation. Calling him defective, Sayuk tries to get on his nerves, but Hale is unbothered. With a mocking grin, Hale reminds Sayuk of the day he lost miserably 5 years ago. He asks if Sayuk has made no improvements at all. The words cut deep. Sayuk trembles, recalling that painful defeat. Hale mocks him further, calling him a wimp wizard. Sayuk. Sayuk's anger reaches its peak, his face with fury. Grabbing Hale by the neck, Sayuk calls him defective. Hale, unshaken, says that falls happen to those who were once on top. Once a genius, always a genius, he adds with a confident grin. With a grin, he promises to make sure Sayuk remembers that. Hale leaves. Sayuk watches, frustration and rage in his eyes. Biting his finger in frustration, Sayuk makes a vow to defeat him. The next day arrives, and Hale's rise against all odds is all over the news. It's on the front page of the internet news, and Hale is happy to see it. Hale comments that Sayuk's name is also mentioned, just as expected. The midterm has everyone talking. People are expecting a prodigy to return. The more attention on him, the better. It's all part of the plan. A smile spreads across his face, savoring the attention. The phone rings. He picks it up and asks his father about the article. With unwavering confidence, Hale tells his father not to worry about it. His father asks if Hale arranged this. Hale replies that he provoked Sayuk to draw draw public attention. Unimpressed, his father reminds him that when he agreed to the plan, it wasn't because of trust, but because there was no loss to the Shin family. He still doesn't expect Hale to win and warns the article could bring shame. Hale says the public already believes he's been expelled from the family, so it's minor. After putting the book down, his father tells him that the impact isn't entirely non-existent. He reminds Hale that wherever he goes, the Shin family name follows him. To his father's surprise, Hale says it's all worth the gains. With confidence, he tells his father that the gain is him holding his lucky book, the world's greatest magician, born from the Shin family, and the strongest head in history. Hale will become the greatest head of the Shin family to date. His father jokes, saying it seems Hale has already surpassed the Tower Master. His father tells him he'll take his leave now, and Hale thanks him. Before hanging up, his father warns him about the consequences if he loses. The call ends, and Hale puts down his phone as well. Ready for the stage, Hale's face shows the determination of a man who will win. The day of the midterm evaluation has arrived. People are noting the event, likely journalists preparing to cover it. Shin Hale stands ready for the battle, preparing himself mentally. Meanwhile, Sayuk is busy mocking, fully confident in his victory. Laughing, Sayuk says he can't wait to see how ridiculous Hale will look when he loses. Hale, laughing, says that the one losing will probably be him. He thanks Sayuk for playing right into his hands, saying he doesn't care about him at all, so he will make it quick and to not hold it against him. Sayuk, triggered by the comments, calls him insane. Hale points up and says one circle. Then, pointing at Sayuk, he declares he will beat him with just a one-circle spell. The midterm evaluation test day arrives. The clash between Hale and Sayuk echoes throughout the Obelisk Academy arena. Hale boldly declares that he will defeat him with just first circle magic. Students watch as Hale humiliates Sayuk in front of everyone. Frustration builds in Sayuk's mind as he bites his nail, wondering how dare he's being mocked. Blowing the whistle, the referee signals the start of the duel. The first match of Obelisk Academy's second-year midterm exam begins. With a confident smile, Hale looks certain of victory, locking eyes with Sayuk. Sayuk prepares to attack the moment the match begins, eyes full of hatred. A fireball flies toward Hale as Sayuk launches it using his skill. Dodging effortlessly, Hale avoids the explosion without even breaking a sweat. Sparks fly from the chip on Sayuk's neck as he channels his next skill. The third circle spell explosion is unleashed. Hale's eyes glow red, already aware of the incoming blast. A massive explosion shakes the arena, and spectators watch in awe. Smirking, Sayuk thinks his attack has landed, mocking his opponent. Shock fills his face as he realizes his attack hasn't had any effect. Hale stands unharmed, not a scratch to show for it. Frustrated, Sayuk tries once again to strike, launching his next attack. Multiple explosion spells rain down on Hale, each aimed at causing harm. Water rises around Hale, calmly blocking the magic with ease. Effortlessly, Hale deflects all the attacks, his confidence growing. Sayuk is stunned. His specialty spell has failed him once more. Hale's mocking smile only intensifies, making Sayuk feel even more humiliated. An observer begins to wonder about the strange skills Hale has shown in this duel. Watching closely, he can't help but question the speed at which Hale casts. A woman nearby wonders aloud why he rescheduled the Blue Tower just to watch this. Unaware of Hale's magic, the man who came to observe is intrigued. Curiosity drives him to watch as he remembers reading an article about a prodigy's return. Disappointment tinges her voice, realizing it was just a coincidence after all. If an 8th circle mage from the Blue Tower is here, it would cause a stir. Knowing the potential uproar he will make just to watch a student's match, he is aware of how significant this is. Laughing softly, he is Kim Kanjin, the Blue Tower's 8th circle mage. As he watches the duel, he says that's why he is watching from the VIP room. Looking back, someone else has also entered the VIP room. The new arrival greets him, surprised to see him here. The sky overhead is cloudy, adding to the tense atmosphere. Hale shows no sign of fatigue, brimming with energy, not a sweat in sight. Sayuk bites his nail again, confused by how his third circle spell was blocked. Remembering how easily Hale stopped his explosion spells, frustration builds. Sweat drips down as he realizes that Hale's casting speed is far beyond normal. Noticing Sayuk's thoughts, Hale asks if he's curious about his speed. Enraged, Sayuk tells him to shut up, wishing only for Hale's defeat. Once more, a new barrage of explosion spells is unleashed at Hale. The explosion rocks the arena, and Sayuk feels sure it will work this time. Chuckling to himself, Sayuk thinks he finally has the upper hand. But once again, Hale stands unharmed, not a scratch on him. His face full of confidence, Hale locks eyes with Sayuk. Sayuk is hit with the realization that his attacks are useless against him. Defeat is clear in Sayuk's eyes as he watches Hale unscathed. Staring at Hale, Sayuk can't understand how his attacks have failed. The disbelief escapes Sayuk's lips. You really think you can beat me with just first circle magic? Confidently, Hale begins to cast his spell. spell. A spear of wind shoots through the air, aimed at high speed. Just in time, Sayuk manages to block the spear, stifling a laugh of relief. Cursing, he wonders what Hale is doing this time. Strikes landing. Sayuk begins to feel his control slipping as attacks intensify. Some attacks find their mark, leaving scratches, while Sayuk can't avoid them. Bewildered, he can't understand when Hale managed to cast the wind spear. With growing frustration, Sayuk questions himself, wondering if he's missing something. Kim Kanjin, the Blue Tower's master, watches in awe, impressed by the spectacle. Hale, fully aware of his victory, appears even more confident. Hale confidently questions if Sayuk understands what's happening, and asks if he wants him to show it again. A bird appears as Hale uses his skill, looking more confident than ever. Swiftly, the bird flies toward its target. Terrified, Sayuk feels like a wind spear is coming straight at him. Chatting casually, Hale seems to be inches away from victory. He tells Sayuk he can do that, and this time there will be 4 of them, with the double shot property. They all move swiftly as a gust of wind aiming toward the target. Sayuk quickly creates a barrier, intending to block them again. The bird-like wind spears strike all at once against the barrier. Nervously laughing, Sayuk thinks he can block them this time, but to his surprise, one wind spear lands from the back. He is hit by one of the wind spears that came from a bent trajectory. Hale casually tells him it's fine to think, but if he's sure he wants to stand there looking so dazed. Surrounded by multiple wind spears, Hale declares that the match has just begun. Again, he charges the spears towards Sayuk, multiple bird-like wind spears. Keeping his distance, Sayuk moves out of the range of the wind spears. As magic power and range are somewhat limited, Sayuk calculates his next move. Grinning, he believes that if he creates enough distance, the unpredictable attack won't reach him. Hale commends his decision, acknowledging it as a good one, and in that case, Hale joins both his hands to prepare another attack. Suddenly, gusts of wind swirl around them, creating multiple bird-like forms made of wind. Sayuk watches in disbelief, unable to believe his eyes. As they close in on him, the wind creatures get closer and closer. Amazed, the masters of the tower witness him casting spells instantly. They note the trajectory changes and merges mid-air, wondering what kind of magic this is. Lord Shin In-hyuk, his father, watches the duel, but seems uninterested. The head of the renowned Maidishin family and 8th Circle magician, Shin In-hyuk. The lady comments that Hale's magic is clearly disregarding the rules of open-source magic. Open-source magic has a max range of 37.44 meters and max speed of 117 kilometers per hour, and its trajectory can only be adjusted once. If the target is beyond 38 meters, the spell can't reach them, and if altered, it cannot be altered again. In other words, open-source magic only works according to its defined effects. This is why modern mage duels resemble a mental game, each predicting the other's moves with known spells. And flexibility in casting is the key to victory, like a game skill. But Bite-Nor-style magic ignores the limitations of open-source modern magic entirely. The spell lands exactly where Sayuk thought was unreachable. Struggling, Sayuk can't believe he's been defeated by just a first circle spell. Hale stands tall, telling Sayuk that he's underestimating first circle magic too much. Even if Sayuk exhausts himself using third circle spells, Hale says it only takes one hit. All it takes to end someone's life is a single pen. Terrified, Sayuk wonders what that even means, but Hale grins with a spark of victory in his eyes. The same applies to magic. A grand spell isn't necessary to end a life. Sayuk struggles to breathe as his head is covered with Hale's water spell. Hale mentions that the Academy's battle uniforms are protected by a safety barrier spell, but right now, it doesn't seem to be doing much good. Just like him, Sayuk is unable to breathe, looking like a dying fish. The echoes fill the arena, marking Hale's victory. Hale looks around as the echoes continue to resonate. Telling the instructor, he states that the result is clear. The referee blows the whistle, ending the duel. The match is over. The winner of the first duel is Shin Hale. Injured, Sayuk is taken away from the arena with the help of 2 others. Meanwhile, Hale prepares to leave alone, standing victorious. Raising his hand, Hale feels a familiar sensation, one he hasn't felt in a while. The feeling of being a winner, the feeling of being victorious, the feeling of returning as a mage once again, his smile shining brighter. The lady and the master of the Blue Tower begin to leave as the battle ends. While leaving, he feels that the prodigy's return is something worth witnessing. His eyes glow red, finding the duel interesting. Curious, he keeps an eye out, wanting to know more about Hale. His friend comes up to him, visibly happy, praising the duel from the bottom of his heart. He praises Hale's magic, asking what kind of training he did. Expressing excitement, he talks about how the wind spears moved and how the spell merged. Hale smirks, asking if his friend really wants to know while Juno brings his ear closer. Hale reveals that the magic is a secret, grinning with confidence, thinking about the book he recently found. Hale looks at his phone, asking Juno if he has seen this. The interview right after the match is already out. Wondering if Juno isn't curious about his magic, he adds. At the interview, questions swarm like what is instant cast magic? How did he cast it? How did he combine the wind spears? Hale looks happy in the camera. Stepping out, the master of the Blue Tower says he will answer those questions. Shock appears on Hale's face as he sees Master Kim Kanjin himself. Approaching Hale with delight, the master expresses how much he enjoyed watching the duel. Believing it, Master Kim says Hale used a 4-circle spell memorize. Puzzled, Hale repeats memorize, with confusion, creating a fireball in his left hand. Master Kim looks at Hale, who seems uninterested. The journalists react with a surprised, "Oh." Holding Hale's attention, the master explains that memorize helps cast spells instantly. "One eye closed," he adds, it stores spells of 3 circles or below. Asking if it's correct, Hale confirms it's right. Smiling awkwardly, he thinks he helped explain bite nor magic easily. A journalist quickly asks if Hale is at the 4-circle level. Laughing, Kim guarantees it, and Hale laughs too. Flashing cameras start, clicking away non-stop as they take pictures. Being a 4-circle mage at this age compares to Tower Lord records. Since the Blue Tower Lord confirmed it, there is no doubt about it. His friend asks if it's true that Hale is a 4-circle mage. Journalists ask about ignoring open-source magic in Hale's case. With difficulty, the master finds it hard to explain this. Taking over, Hale says the answer is surprisingly simple. Modifying the spell formula, he shocks the Blue Tower master. The master feels it's impossible to modify a spell formula. Hale compares it to adding flight to a car to explain. Doubt in his eyes, the master struggles to believe it's that easy. Using his spell to summon butterflies, Hale demonstrates it, and the master wonders about Hale's future. He uses modification magic as he summons more butterflies, and tells that he will call modified spell modification magic from now on. Watching in complete amusement, the master sees the impossible happen with ease. While looking at him as he does his modification magic with butterflies all around, the master feels this to be revolutionary and could shake the entire magic community. Hale holds his phone with news with his video of the interview. His friend, doubting, asks what modified magic even is supposed to mean. Not quite believing it, he says he's glad Hale won. He tells he is heading back to the dorm, and mentions needing rest for the tough opponent tomorrow. Wondering who the tough opponent is, Hale feels confused. Arriving the next day at Obelisk Stadium, the duels begin again. The audience watches the student duels like before, excitement in the air. His friend fights against someone, struggling with them. Hale realizes that the tough opponent Juno mentioned is a lady with yellow hair. This lady, Adela Starrett, looks both beautiful and strong. The prodigy born between the Starrett family of France and Korea's House of Mystics. Adela's magic is unique, and Hale understands why it's so special. A magic circle appears beneath her, using secret of moon element magic. Juno struggles to withstand the pressure, his body bending under it. Adela stands comfortably, directing the magic toward him. Blown away by the spell, Juno is thrown off his feet. The referee blows the whistle, signaling the end of the match. Adela Starrett wins the match, the crowd cheering. The crowd cheers as Hale remains deep in thought. Looking at the arena, his red eyes notice something important. A secret magic blending light and dark elements. Shining moonlight and secret magic is not registered in open source magic. Feeling it's natural to struggle against her, he understands the challenge. Adela's gaze locks onto Hale, sparking his interest in her. Hale notices her gaze that piques his interest on her. Juno, frustrated by his loss, hears Hale saying, "Good job anyway." Trying to lift his spirits, Hale comments on the difficulty of facing Adela. Juno asks if Hale won his second match, and Hale confidently replies, "Of course." Adela approaches, telling them it was a nice match and a good fight. Joey thanks Adela for her kind words, offering a smile. Their eyes meet once more, a silent exchange between Adela and Hale. She comments, "Shin Hale, returning to the way a mage should be." With cold eyes, she speaks of why she enrolled in the academy, and tells that she hopes he'll help her remember her purpose. Her voice serious, she adds, "The two prodigies, one from the Madison family, another from the House of Mystics, have known each other. These two families maintain a good relationship, so Adela and Hale have met at various events." Describing their relationship in one word, it's rivals. Giving up studying in France, Adela enrolled at Obelisk to surpass him, but since he was deemed unfit for the AI, they haven't spoken even once. Being labeled AI incompatible was significant for both of them. It was a huge loss for her, who had lost a rival. Telling her that he isn't yet someone worthy of being her goal, Hale speaks. Leaving, flicking her hair, she says they'll see once they fight. Juno asks if Hale is sure he's ready. Frustrated, his friend points out how Hale acts unaware of the situation. He says his next opponent is Adela Starrett. Shocked, Hale realizes he didn't know that. Shouting what? His voice echoes far away. The next day, the battle between the two prodigies begins. Adela waits for her opponent, while the referee glances at his watch. Students talk, suggesting Shinhale ran away like a chicken. In the interview, he spoke of modified magic, but it seems to have been just talk. Isn't it obvious? He probably realized he couldn't win against Adela and bailed. People gossip. The waiting period nears its end, and tension builds. The time is up, and by the rules, Adela Starrett wins by default. Just in the nick of time, Shinhale rushes in, shouting wait. Smiling while sweating, he apologizes for being late. The referee asks what took him so long to arrive. The referee mentions hearing the explanation later and tells him no time to catch his breath as punishment, telling them to take their positions immediately. Adela asks if she can know why he was late. Shinhale responds that it's nothing major. Beginning to use his infinity magic, he says it was just some preparations. Adela simply asks, preparations, as she takes her position. With a grin, he says she is strong, so he had to prepare to beat her. Adela asks if he prepared all this in one day. Feeling the change, Adela senses Shinhale in front of her is different from yesterday. She asks if she can expect to see his true power now. Confident, Hale says he has something to tell her in advance. She will have to go all out from the start. After their verbal exchange, the real match begins. Adela starts using her spell as a ball-like form rises in the air. Pointing her finger at the target, she readies herself. Using the skill flame revolver, she shapes her hand like a revolver, firing a beam of flames. She fires 3 beams of flames at once. Hale prepares to use his spell in response. Blocking all the incoming projectiles, he handles them simultaneously. Adela summons Earth Needle, forming a needle-like arrow in her hand. A crack appears in the ground beneath her. Yellow rays of light emerge from below. While Hale tries to evade, he finds it difficult. Hale somersaults in the air, trying to dodge. Realizing he's mid-air and can't avoid it, Adela prepares to attack. Looking at him, she finds something strange in his movement. She begins using her spell, Arrow Impact. While in the air, Hale realizes the attack targets his defenseless state. Even knowing it's coming, he thinks he can't avoid it. Smiling, Hale thinks most people would think the same, but using a barrier in mid-air, he stands firm. Observers are shocked to see defensive barrier magic in mid-air. Adela, too, is stunned by the sight. Seeing him flip the barrier and use it as a platform, Hale realizes he must use everything he has to counter the House of Mystic's secret moon element magic. To make that happen, he decides to bring even the sun into the battle as he prepares for the fight. The arena shines with yellow light under the sky. Adela finds it hard to even look at him because of the sunlight. As he stands high in the air on the platform, he prepares to attack by using the sun as his source of power. Making no choice for Adela, other than to just defend. A shield quickly forms around Adela as she uses Great Shield. Leaping forward, Hale feels energy swirling around him as he uses Arrow. Blue magic spirals outward, revealing a hidden spear. She uses her shield to block the attack as he strikes midair. He looks firm, his eyes sharp as he attacks using Arrow, a first circle spell. His attacks fails and falls back to prepare for the next attack. Glaring intensely, he feels ready to remind his opponent with his next attack. While she thinks it's her turn to attack now, something already begins to grab her feet, catching her attention even before she begins her attack. Hale watches her with a focused and intense expression. She wonders when he found the chance to counter her. Thinking deeply, she believes he may have casted a hidden spell earlier when he landed. She realizes Hale's movements are far too fast for her, and notices he is preparing for his next attack. Water magic swirls as Hale prepares another spell for Adela. He casts a blue water missile with water flowing around his hands. Using her skill, she manages to get rid of his earth binding skill as well. Blue waves of water starts to move above the arena, and begins to crash toward Adela with powerful energy and speed. Raising a shield, she defends against the water attack from Hale. She holds the shield firmly while withstanding the intense force of water waves. Adela reassures herself that Hale is more manageable now. She remembers that Hale used the 4th circle spell Memorize, and it can only activates the spells of 3rd circle or lower. As a 4th circle mage, Hale can also just use 1st circle spells now. So, she grows confident, ready to counter Hale's magic in battle. Suddenly, a modified wind spear appears in sunlight, hitting right beside her, taking her by a total surprise. Feeling overwhelmed, she questions when he even found the chance to attack her, and wonders if he had hidden the modified magic wind spear in the sunlight all along. Struck by Hale's hidden wind spear, she feels powerless, falling on the ground while Hale looks at her surrounded by water and infinity. Calm and composed, glaring intensely, he asks if she has forgotten who she is fighting against. Adela lies on the ground as she looks Hale standing tall. The lady praises his battle instincts, who has been watching from the VIP room. The master of Blue Tower notes how easily he evaded the Earth Needle, and adds Hale planned everything carefully from the beginning. By dodging into the air, baiting Adela's attacks and using the barrier as platform, he climbed higher, shielding his figure in sunlight, blocking with sunlight to maintain his advantage, and then setting up a delayed wind spear with Memorize memorize. The Blue Tower's master begins explaining everything up to now, describing Hale's tactic. He even mentions the fake ground battle and aligning himself with the sun strategically to launching the precast wind spear. After telling all that, he watches with a smirk on his face at Hale's father. His father agrees now that why he was called a Grand Mage of First Circle, but, as usual, his disappointment is visible as his son is just using the First Circle magic at the end of the day. Standing firm, both prepare to continue the fight once again. Adela stands with a serious and focused expression on her face. So is Hale. Once again, in disappointment, his father mentions his inability to land the finishing blow even in a favorable position. With confidence, he tells he can't end this, looking at her son who looks confident enough to win the fight, and thinks that Adela hasn't even used that magic yet. Seeing how good was Hale, she tells he reminds her of that time. That's why, with a fierce expression, she says she will now use her full strength as well. Hale looks happy to hear that as he exclaims, finally waiting for that moment. She begins to channel her energy all around the body, while Hale prepares to face whatever to come. She then uses the House of Mystics' hidden magic halo, intensifying the battle even more. Adela channels intense magical energy with his body surrounded by swirling mana. The lights hit his eyes as he focuses intensely on the spell. The arena is illuminated with the bright light, intensifying the atmosphere of the battle. Spectators in the VIP room lean forward in anticipation. Hale's father turns to leave, his calm but disappointed demeanor hinting at his thoughts about the battle's outcome. The arena is engulfed in dazzling magical energy as they turn back. The lady, shocked by the spectacle, struggles to hide her surprise after witnessing the magical display. Infusing his tone with confusion, the master of the Blue Tower mutters, "That's." His friend also shows signs of disbelief, his face contorted in emotion. Adela stands outside, her expression reflecting deep concern and shock, as Hale unleashes a second circle spell that defies her expectations, the Flame Vulcan. She gets shocked realizing that Hale is using the second circle spell. Confidently, Hale explains that his delay was due to preparing this very spell to defeat Adela. She reflects on the situation as she realizes Hale has surpassed the limitations of his magic. Wondering about Hale's capabilities, Adela inquires if he has reached the fifth circle. With seriousness and determination, Hale confirms her suspicions. The night before, in his dormitory at Obelisk Academy, he reflects on the decision he made, deep in thought, realizing that he could not defeat Adela with only first circle spells. Contemplating his unique fighting style, he notes that it doesn't naturally align with the covert nature of secret magic. Sighing in frustration, Hale studies his options, thinking back to his original plan of mastering a technique. Turning the page, Hale discovers Idard's new page that says to channel power into the next page's magic circle. This magic circle will lead him to a new realm. Intrigued, he wonders if this new method could be the breakthrough he has been searching for. Focused intently on the magic circle in the book, Hale contemplates its potential to unlock new power. Determined, Hale decides to immediately test the technique, channeling energy into the magic circle without hesitation. As the energy flows, the book unexpectedly begins to glow. Exclaiming in amazement, Hale watches as the glow intensifies. A bright, magical explosion erupts from the book, catching Hale by surprise as he shields his eyes. The room filled with dazzling light begins to subside. Hale finds himself standing in an entirely new, golden-lit environment, a library-like space. Bewildered, he looks around, unsure of how he arrived or what this place is. Before him appears a mysterious figure, introducing herself as Alpha, the guide of the first trial page. Hale is unable to understand the situation he is in. Alpha calmly explains that they are now inside the page of the first trial, which resides within Idard's book. Hale is taken aback, struggling to grasp the concept of a physical space existing within a book. He smiles with surprise as he feels it's unbelievable. With clarity, Alpha reveals that this will be his test, and the instructions will be given at the start. Passing the trial will unlock pages 18 through 31, which contain information on second circle magic. Realizing the importance of the trial, Hale understands that success is crucial. Alpha concludes her explanation. With unwavering determination, he agrees to begin the trial without hesitation. Confirming their readiness, Alpha prepares for the trial to begin. The air grows tense, with the beginning of the first trial which he must pass. Alpha announces that the first trial will begin. With enthusiasm, Hale responds, ready to face the upcoming challenge. A magical sequence is activated by Alpha, preparing the environment for the trial as she announces the instructions. Listening intently, Hale prepares himself for the explanation of the task. Realizing something strange, Hale deduces that the voice guiding him sounds like his teacher's. Hale needs to channel his energy into the gem. The name of this gem is Elemental Manalite. A voice explains that the gem is an incomplete crystal. Listening closely, Hale understands the complexity of the task ahead. The task is then revealed to be the complete purification of the gem. Hale is surprised by the challenge, realizing the complexity of purifying the gem fully. Described as an incredibly delicate crystal, the gem is known as the elemental mana light. Inside the gem, the 4 types of mana exist in a state of chaotic imbalance. Reflecting on the task, Hale compares it to trying to separate sand, salt, sugar, and pepper from a mix. Acknowledging the seriousness of the challenge, he notes that only someone who has mastered heart's intent could purify the gem. Pausing for a moment, Hale considers his next move. Confidently, Hale declares that it is going to be interesting, but to his surprise, it's not what it looks like. The mana begins to separate. As he keeps trying to purify this gem, elemental mana light, he closes his eyes as he focuses. The mana begins to separate slowly and gradually. The gem glows brighter and brighter as he keeps on trying, but he gets thrown away, hitting the book racks in the library. He begins to now realize that even if the mana wavers a little, there will be shockwaves. He feels the task looks hopeless. Confidently, Hale declares that he has an idea of how to proceed with the task. He vows to keep trying. Time passes unnoticed as Hale continues to work tirelessly at purifying the gem. Despite multiple failures, Hale remains unwavering in his determination to succeed. Reflecting on his numerous attempts, Hale realizes that even the slightest lapse in concentration forces him to restart. Determined, Hale pushes forward, despite the grueling nature of the task. After relentless effort, Hale finally achieves a breakthrough in the purification process. A voice congratulates Hale on passing the trial, acknowledging his success. Addressed as the successor, Hale is praised for mastering heart's intent. The voice informs Hale that the second ring technique will now be added to the Book of Idrith, the technique for weaving the resonance ring. Waking up in his bed, Hale realizes he has returned from the trial. Reflecting on his experience, Hale softly murmurs to himself that he is back. Hale discovers the method in the Book of Idrith, the method to weave the second resonance ring, and he smiles. The pages of the book then flips. Resolving to master the second resonance ring, Hale vows to perfect it before the next match begins. Now into the broad daylight, in an arena, the battle still goes on. Alpha unleashes a powerful attack called Halo, overwhelming Hale. Knocked down by the attack, Hale appears to be defeated. She feels as if the attack has landed, managing to defeat him. As the light pours down intensely in the arena, his friend, observing the scene, comments Hale's done for. Adela also thinks the match is already over. She expresses genuine surprise at how much Hale has grown in such a short time. Pondering aloud, Adela questions Hale's true identity and wonders who he really is. As she recalls her memory from her childhood, thinking the genius he once set her sights on is no longer there, the dramatic turn of events unfolds. Adela looks back, hearing the sound. Despite being overwhelmed by the attack, Hale activates the second circle, resonance activation. His eyes glow red and gazes at her intensely. Unleashing darkness blind, he prepares to send a devastating attack toward his opponent. As he holds 2 different types of spell at the same time, merging 2 infinity circles, Hale amplifies his power to unprecedented levels. Extending his reach, Hale commands his surroundings to become his hands and feet. Both his father and the master are surprised. Even the spectators are in awe as they watch. Surprised, Adela is caught off guard by Hale's sudden transformation and surge of power. Struggling to comprehend the situation, she is overwhelmed as Hale dominates the battlefield. Hale unleashes Flame Vulcan, a massive, fiery attack. Attempting to defend herself, Adela uses a protective spell. Demonstrating mastery over resonance techniques, Hale displays advanced combat skills. She is overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of Hale's attacks. As they keep on coming, realizing that she cannot block Hale's powerful strikes, Adela finally acknowledges that he is back as she smiles. She sets Hale as her new goal, determined to face him again, with one final, devastating blow. As everyone watches, the battle between the 2 prodigies unfold in front of their eyes. Hale knocks down Adela. Emerging victorious, Hale stands tall, showcasing his immense growth and strength. The match is over and the winner is Shin Hale. The audience watches in awe as Hale proves his dominance over his opponent. Approached by a Blue Tower's master, Hale's father is asked if he is leaving already. With a smile, he responds that he has other appointments. The master, understanding, replies that he sees, and remarks that he isn't very good at lying as he watches Hale happy with the victory. After the intense battle, everyone gathers in a separate room. Hale takes a moment to rest. He reveals that he used the second infinity circle, resonance, and syncs with the heart's intent circle to amplify his magic. Moon attribute magic is a hybrid type, combining the range of light magic and the potency of dark magic. By adjusting the intensity of the dark element, Hale was able to narrow the attack range effectively, recalling how he countered Halo attack with enhanced dark magic to do so, emphasizing the uniqueness of moon magic, as it is a secret technique exclusive to the House of Moon. Despite its complexity, Hale succeeded in performing delicate mana manipulation after briefly observing the magic structure. The resonance circle allowed him to analyze the magic with strange insight, discerning the complex structure of moon magic. He acknowledges how the elemental mana light purification refined his mana control. Without these new abilities, he realizes that defeating Alpha would have been impossible. While lost in thought, the Blue Tower's master with his glasses on begins to come towards him. Hale turns to see the master of the Mage Tower and finds it surprising seeing him. Surprised and slightly confused, Hale calls him Master of the Mage Tower. The master introduces himself. He informs Hale that he has something important to discuss with him. They sit on the sofa at their own convenience. Apologizing for disturbing him, the master acknowledges that Hale must be tired. He mentions watching the match and praises the battle as excellent. Grateful, Hale thanks him for the compliment. Then, he immediately asks if Hale has reached the 5th circle of magic. Hale takes a moment, reflecting on his abilities before replying. He admits that he used 2nd circle magic during the match. While thinking, the Blue Tower's master must have thought he used memorize, and it's natural a 3rd higher circle after 2nd would be 5th circle of mage, but clarifies that he has not yet reached the 5th circle. The man acknowledges this, and asks how Hale was able to use 2nd circle magic, suggesting that he used vision magic. Hale becomes a little nervous. The master recalls that Hale had previously mentioned transformation magic during their last conversation, and remembers when he used magic to create butterflies. Hale confirms that it was indeed transformation magic. Hale feels that reaching the 5th circle at the age of 18 would cause a huge uproar in the world news, and points out that using 3rd circle magic later could lead to various problems. Deciding to keep his true abilities hidden, Hale chooses to be discreet for now. The master asks about the connection between transformation magic and 2nd circle magic. Hale nervously explains he has improved the memorize magic. The man expresses his admiration, hearing the improvements he made to memorize magic. Laughing modestly, he admires him once again. He feels amazing how Hale managed to do all that. The master looks at him this time with a serious look, and laughs again as he praises Hale once again. Reflecting on his red eyes, Hale feels something different. The master uses Red Jade's magic eyes, and stares at him intensely. Hale is startled by his gaze. The atmosphere becomes tense as they both look right into the eyes of each other staring. With a smile, the Blue Tower master says certainly, verifying Hale has no sign of mana lines of typical 5th circle mage. He looks back telling he hasn't reached the 5th circle yet. Laughing, he tells he will now go and explain everything to the reporters. As he fixes his glasses, Hale feels a sense of relief as he thanks him. He bows down, and feels glad that the verification process did not uncover his true abilities. He notes that the master used Red Jade's magic eyes, a highly respected tool known for its accuracy. Reflecting on the situation, Hale feels fortunate not to have been exposed by such a skilled magic tower master. Blue Magic Tower Master Kim Gangan and his magic eyes, which are considered the best in terms of magical detection. Realizing how close he came to being caught, Hale understands how powerful such a master is. He reflects on the secrecy of his Bitinio-style magic, emphasizing that he can't reveal it recklessly. Once again in the arena, the battle is over. Shin Hale comes up victorious as he defeats another opponent. He looks more composed as he got another win. After the match, Hale encounters Adela. He looks back, and comments that he thought she would be out for hours. Adela mentions she wants to get some feedback on their match. She feels shy asking him. He tells her they can discuss it now. Adela, who had been resting, is surprised to see Hale so soon after the match, agreeing to her request. Looking at Hale, she feels she has so much to learn, and someday she will become just like him. Hale begins to feel the heat. Somewhere far away, the room lights up as the light pierces through the windows. A lady watches Shin Hale on the large screen, thinking it was already over. A tall, illuminated building dominates the scene, labeled as headquarters of the Shin Group. Inside the headquarters, a tense conversation takes place. A lady expresses his frustration, muttering, "Damn it," exclaiming in disbelief, "I thought it was all over already." As she confronts her brother, asking if he is going to leave Hale alone, Shin Seah, the eldest daughter of the Shin family, Shin Jihan, his brother, asks her what they are supposed to do. She asks what if Hale is brought back into the family, reminding him of past events, of the things a year ago. She emphasizes the harsh treatment, bringing up their family's history. Hale might have been a prodigy if it was a year ago, but now he is just a trash, Jihan adds. He asks her if she had watched his matches too, but she tells him people are going crazy over him. Seah looks frustrated. Jian explains that Hale's opponents so far have only been around 3 circle students, making his victories manageable. However, he also points out Hale's fatal flaw, incompatibility with AI magic, which limits his true potential. Jihan concludes that, for now, Hale remains far below a typical 4-circle magician in skill level. Seah agrees, acknowledging that Hale will always struggle due to his incompatibility with magic. The two discuss the possibility of dealing with Hale if he ever poses a threat to the next head of the family. He looks at her with a sharp look, and uses a powerful ice-based spell, shattering an object with a loud sound. Spilling the coffee as he tells they can deal with him later. In a serene sunset backdrop, at the arena once again, the duels continue. One of the opponents drops to the ground marking his defeat. The referee whistles marking another round of the duel to its end. Shin Hale emerges victorious in the second-year midterm exams, defeating his opponent with a decisive move. The crowd erupts in cheers as Shin Hale is announced as the champion. Spectators express their amazement and excitement, shouting "Wow" and "Amazing." Observers marvel at Shin Hale's forbidden magic, noting that it surpasses AI magic. His friend cheers him on as well. He comes to him telling everyone is recognizing his skill. Despite the celebration, some critics remain skeptical. Shin Hale receives congratulations from friends and teachers alike, including his homeroom teacher, who expresses pride in his accomplishments. The homeroom teacher plans a celebration to honor Shin Hale's victory, inviting everyone to join, but he declines due to an important appointment he must keep. His friends plead with him to attend, but he insists on keeping his promise. Shin Hale leaves the celebration. As they just watches, Shin Hale walks away into the sunset, determined and focused on his future path. The driver greets him warmly, saying, "We've been expecting you." Shin Hale, the youngest son of the Shin's family. The driver tells him the head of the family is waiting outside the grand residence. Looking up at the main entrance with a contemplative gaze, he reflects, with a mix of nostalgia and determination. He recalls his rebellion against his cold father after deemed unfit for AI. He notes that, ever since that time, he hasn't been allowed to enter the family home. The youngest son enters the mansion, taking in the familiar surroundings with a careful gaze. His expression is a mixture of familiarity and resolve. As he approaches the study door, his steps slow, and his mind prepares for what's to come. Shin Hale stands outside a grand mansion beneath a starry night sky, reflecting on his journey, ready to step into the family home. Inside the study room, Shin Hale faces his father, who sits composed at his desk. Acknowledging his father's presence, he humbly expresses his gratitude. His father, still with the fierce look, tells him to sit down. He begins telling how he thought Hale used to be a failure, with casting spells 20 times slower than average, incapable of multicasting as well. His father tells him he was the prime example of how useless a person could be, yet everyone acknowledged his exceptional talent. He didn't have high expectations this time either for this attempt. Hale listens to everything unfazed and tells him he understands it. His father also mentions about the article he read, but despite all that, all his expectations were defied completely by overcoming his incompatibility. By creating transformation magic, Shin Hale and his father continue their conversation, and the smile slowly begins to light up on his father's face. Finally smiling, praising his son's combat prowess, he calls him a true mage. Hale, grateful for the recognition, thanks his father for his continued support and validation. His father reassures him, promising complete family support moving forward. "Tell me everything you need to pursue your magic," the father commands, his voice firm and resolute, and is officially recognized as the rightful heir to the Shin family legacy. Acknowledging the weight of his father's words, Hale responds with a deep sense of resolve. The father coldly warns Hale that if he ever stagnates or regresses, he will personally destroy his magical circles, asserting his authority. Hale begins to feel the intimidating aura of his father. With resolve, he replies, "Yes, father." His father asks about his current goals, recalling his past ambition to become the head of the Shin family. But this time around, his siblings are way ahead from him. Hale responds without hesitation, reaffirming his ultimate goal, to become the head of the Shin family. But he will first make everyone in the family acknowledge him. With authority, his father asks how he intends to do that. Despite his current standing, Hale is determined to prove his worth by participating in an upcoming event, the prestigious World Academy Olympiad, in 2 months. Shin's confidence shines through as he tells he will bring home the gold medal. Held annually for students under 20, the event is considered a prestigious competition, on par with adult professional tournaments. The father, raising an eyebrow, points out that the country's best record to date is a silver medal, won by the Blue Tower Lord. Casting doubt on Shin's gold medal aspirations, Shin, determined, looks directly at his father and presents a bold condition. He requests protection from interference by his siblings for the 2 months leading up the tournament. Reflecting on Shin's bold demand, the father mutters he might not even win. Normally, he would refuse such a request, but after considering it, he wonders if it might not be a bad idea after all. In an exterior shot of a building, signaling time passing, the books lie on the floor. Shin is having a nice sleep in the daylight. As the light falls, he wakes up. Returning from the family estate, Shin immediately began researching the second test's requirements. Having passed the first test, he now focuses on advancing to the third circle by clearing the second test. Realizing that the clues are vague, Shin finds himself at a loss, and seeks further guidance regarding resonance. Studying the principles needed for the second circle exam, Shin focuses on moving mana according to the principles of consonance. In his research, he discovers that the ring of judgment and the ring of resonance must be connected organically to succeed. Shin attempts to apply the knowledge, experimenting experimenting with mana manipulation. Then, he goes on to research even more. Feeling the need to clear his mind, Shin decides to take a walk. With the sun shining down on a peaceful, cloud-speckled sky, walking along a path beside a river or canal, surrounded by modern buildings and greenery, Shin enjoys the calm and fresh air. Continuing his walk, Shin's gaze sharpens as something catches his attention. His expression shifts to one of intrigue as he tries to make sense of what he sees. A flying object suddenly hits Shin, causing him to fall backward, and he reacts with a slight cry. He notices a girl who he seems to know. His childhood friend Adela immediately comes to see if he is alright. Shin asks why the plastic bag flew toward him. Explaining the situation, Adela mentions that she spins a plastic bag around because she is about to drink banana milk, and then it flies away, hitting him. Frustrated, she expresses how annoyed she is, apologizing for the incident. Shin accepts her apology and says it's alright. She then reveals she has multiple packets of banana milk in her bag. Shin, clearly surprised, comments that it is quite a lot. As they walk below the clear blue sky, Adela asks if Shin has returned home. Shin confirms with a nod, saying that he has returned to the magic tower the day before. With relief, Adela mentions how they often talk about Shin's dream of becoming the head of the magic tower. Shin looks confused by her remarks, asking if he said that. As she remembers her childhood days with him, she affirms it. Shin admits, looking somewhat distant, saying that is no longer his dream. Adela, a bit taken aback, questions whether he has compromised with reality. She begins to wonder if it is because of his siblings. Shin clarifies his new ambition, stating that his dream is to become the master of magic and stand at the pinnacle of all mages. No, all magic towers. With eyes of determination, Adela, eyes sparkling with admiration, exclaims that this goal is also her own. Acknowledging the incredible ambition, she reflects on how impressive and difficult it is. As someone following him, under the calm night sky, at the magic tower residence, Seiya bites her nail troubled, and confronts Jihan, calling him brother. She questions him about his apparent lack of concern regarding their father's command. Feeling conflicted, he thinks to himself, unable to believe that their father has set such conditions. In a formal meeting in the residence, where his siblings now stand before their father commands that no one should interfere with Shin for the next 2 months. This takes them by surprise. Seiya is stopped midway as she begins to talk. Jihan asks his father to at least tell them the reason. Their father explains that Shin has officially returned to the magic tower the previous day, emphasizing that Shin is still a minor, so he thought it's necessary to give him 2 months to adjust. Elaborating on the situation, their father insists that Shin's siblings will closely monitor him. Jihan looks distressed but agrees with his father's command, asking if there is anything else. His father then concludes the talk as he watches outside. After the meeting, Seiya begins to question her brother, but she is shocked to see her brother. Deeply troubled, he mumbles to himself in frustration that he just can't accept the situation. Reflecting, he notes how Minyuk and Minji have no interest in competing for the head position, wondering about the fairness of the situation because of the Hale's situation. Continuing to think about it, he wonders why their father makes such an unusual decision. He wonders what caused his father to make that decision. His sister bites her nail as she feels equally troubled as well. They both keep on considering the possibilities. Jihan speculates that perhaps their father sees potential in Hale, or is intrigued by the mysterious magic system he has mastered, or has a deal. She gets shocked hearing her brother say a deal. Seiya, with an angry expression, exclaims that Shin Hale is so annoying. Deciding to withdraw the surveillance she has placed on Hale, she feels troubled. The Shadows, an elite team that handles information, have nothing they can't do. So, his brother tells her he has already withdrawn the surveillance. She asks him what he is planning to do. Jihan, with determination in his voice, tells he is going out first. Explaining his reasoning, he mentions that even if Seiya agrees, doing nothing for 2 months doesn't feel right to him, revealing that he will have to consult the Black Tower. At Obelisk Academy, where midterm evaluations have concluded, and the teacher announces the results, the teacher congratulates everyone for completing the midterm evaluations. Commending Shin Hale, the teacher highlights that he is the first-place student in the class. Shin Hale is recognized as the top student among all 17-year-olds in the country. The teacher advises Shin to maintain his top position for the next 2 months, suggesting that he aims for the Academy Olympiad. Expressing enthusiasm, Shin agrees wholeheartedly. The other students whisper among themselves, discussing Shin's performance, speculating that he only won due to vision magic. Feeling irritated, the students predict that Shin's reputation will soon fade away. Having overheard the whispers, Shin remains unfazed, and shows no reaction to the rumors. Later, his friend expresses relief that the long day of theory lessons has finally ended. Shin hits him lightly as he jokes, but he acts hurted, mocking if he really is a mage. stage. His friend looks like he really got hurt. They both walk as they joke around, and his friend tells him he will overcome it and smash his head first, suggesting a visit to the training room after dinner. Shin offers a chance to keep practicing, but he hesitates. Shin asks what type of face he is making. Hesitating, the student admits to feeling out of shape. Shin points out his reluctance to exercise. He admits that he doesn't mind exercising in general but specifically dislikes doing so with Shin, and adds that he finds his presence scary, reflecting on how others perceive him. At Obelisk Academy's training room, Shin is seen lifting weights, showcasing his commitment. Other students notice Shin's intense workout, commenting on how impressive the weight he is lifting is, recognizing him as the sophomore who topped the midterms. Taking a break, Shin wipes sweat while holding a water bottle, catching his breath after an intense session. Realizing the connection between physical strength and magical abilities, Shin recalls the Book of Idard, which explains that a strong body enhances the infinity circle, making magic more efficient. Determined to combine both exercise and magic for optimal physical condition, Shin resolves to pursue both paths. An outdoor setting at Obelisk Academy, where Shin encounters a black panther-like creature. Surrounded by them, the creature attacks him, forcing Shin to react quickly and defend himself with his magical abilities. Shin engages in combat, dodging the creature's attacks and countering with precise and controlled movements. Shin unleashes a powerful spell, Flame Vulcan, and fires the flames towards the creatures. The panther-like creatures get hit by those skills, engulfing the creature in flames, finishing the battle. A teacher observes the results. Shin receives full marks for his performance in the Monster Rush practical training. He reflects on how his physical abilities have improved by 1.5 times thanks to the Infinity Circle. Shin contemplates reaching the third circle of the Infinity Circle, which will enhance his abilities even further. Focusing on enhancing the Infinity Circle, Shin circulates both mana types throughout his body to achieve a perfect synchronization. Shin carefully adjusts the vibration frequency and rotation rate of each ring. He increases the mana purity of the ring of will by 8.9%, striving to achieve perfect synchronization between the rings. Despite his meticulous adjustments, Shin finds himself stuck at a sync rate of 99%, unable to reach the final 1% needed to complete the process. Determined, Shin reaffirms his resolve to succeed, telling himself that he will not give up until he masters it. At night, walking outdoors, Shin goes on with his physical training. Shin suddenly senses a shift in the atmosphere. Feeling danger nearby, a masked figure appears and launches his fist with an intent to punch him. He quickly dodges the attack and confronts him, ready for battle. Recognizing the attacker, Shin realizes that it is Baek Sayuk, an enemy from his past. The tension builds as Baek Sayuk keeps on attacking, mocks Shin, accusing him of being really good at avoiding like a rat. Shin picks up his earphone from the ground. Reacting with sarcasm, Shin notes that, even if he weren't on probation, he wouldn't return home because of the embarrassment. Becoming enraged by Shin's remarks, Baek Sayuk threatens to kill him. Shin just laughs at him, provoking further, reminding of his embarrassing defeat. Baek Sayuk unleashes a powerful fire-based attack aimed at Shin. Responding quickly, Shin really gets confused as Sayuk is using magic in the street. Despite the chaos around him, Shin remains calm and strategic, using his abilities to gain the upper hand in the battle. Baek Sayuk gets shocked as his attack failed. Shin manages to land a critical hit on Baek Sayuk, momentarily overpowering him. Shin gains the upper hand, subduing Baek Sayuk. Reflecting on the situation, Shin realizes that this encounter provides him with opportunity. Meanwhile, others arrive at the scene, witnessing the aftermath of the fight and beginning to discuss their next steps. Shin explains that he had to suppress Baek Sayuk because Baek attacked him with magic. The entire incident was captured on CCTV. He advises Shin to discuss the details tomorrow at the academy and sends him back to the dormitory. Baek Sayuk is taken under control, while Shin wishes him to keep doing that in future. The next day, students are discussing the incident involving Baek Sayuk using magic on the streets. A detention announcement is posted, stating that Baek Sayuk has been given 10 demerit points. Students express surprise that Baek Sayuk only received 10 demerit points. Shin reflects on the lenient punishment, noting that it's likely due to the influence of the Baek family. He mentions that the Baek family has been donating enormous sums to the academy to obtain a prestigious title. Shin concludes that the academy couldn't give Baek Sayuk a severe punishment. Thinking he might be getting a beating now, Baek Sayuk receives a call from his father, who scolds him for causing trouble and reprimands his behavior. His father reminds him to remain quiet until graduation, emphasizing it angrily on the call. Baek Sayuk apologizes, but internally he feels frustrated, and the call ends as he tells he will keep that in mind. Baek Sayuk vents his anger as he throws the phone on the ground, repeatedly calling out Shin Hail's name and expressing his hatred toward him. He steps on his phone as he vents out his anger. He blames Shin for all his problems. An older man overhears Baek Sayuk's rant and comments on his grudge against Shin Hail. Baek Sayuk is approached by instructor Instructor Smith. Instructor Smith reassures him that it's perfectly fine to dislike someone. Instructor Smith encourages Baek Sayuk to focus on getting revenge against Shin Hale. Baek Sayuk becomes increasingly agitated, subtly fueling his anger further. In the academy, with most of the rooms with turn-on lights, and so is the room of Shin. Shin thinks about the incident earlier and he actually got benefited by it. Shin receives a message from his father informing him that negotiations with the Baek family have concluded successfully. Shin learns that his family received 3% of the mining rights held by the Baek family. Acknowledging the strategic move made by his family, Shin understands that maintaining good relations with prestigious families is crucial, and it was the right move, because the victim is none other than the direct descendant of the Shin family. Shin concludes that this deal benefits his family significantly, emphasizing the importance of titles and status in their world. Shin Hale decides that Baek Sayuk is essentially expelled from the Baek family. He feels confident that he can handle any threats from him, and shifts his focus back to improving his cultivation techniques. At the outskirt of the academy, he feels that the control over instructors has tightened. Shin Hale is confused and nervous. As he meets Instructor Smith, he also looks at him with an unlikable eye as he gazes at him. While Hale looks uncomfortable, the instructor begins to talk all friendly, and begins to talk sincerely with him. His sudden change in behavior makes him wonder why he is acting so friendly all of a sudden. Instructor Smith suggests starting over and extends his hand to Shin. Shin hesitates, feeling uneasy about Instructor Smith's intentions. Shin feels an uncomfortable sensation as he interacts with Instructor Smith. Instructor Smith expresses hope that Shin has found his own path, further adding to Shin's unease. Shin notices an ominous black mana emanating from Instructor Smith, which feels wrong despite appearing normal. Recognizing the mana as magic, Shin identifies it as dangerous and unnatural, revealing the Black Tower. Black Tower, an unofficial tower that follows a different path compared to the 12 existing colored towers, led by a degenerate magician who calls himself the Black Magician King. Realizing that Instructor Smith might be affiliated with the Black Tower, Shin grows concerned, indicating his suspicion and growing distrust toward Instructor Smith. Shin dismisses the immediate concern about Instructor Smith's affiliation, focusing instead on understanding the magic formula being used. Analyzing the formula, Shin recognizes it as a mind control magic. Shin notes that his brain is resistant to external interference, realizing that Instructor Smith's mind control magic does not work on his brain, thanking himself for this resistance. Meanwhile, Instructor Smith continues to act friendly and oblivious. Deciding on his next move, Shin plans to pretend to be affected by the mind control magic to extract information about the Black Tower. This strategy allows Shin to gather crucial details while maintaining a facade of compliance. Instructor Smith appears satisfied with Shin's apparent submission. However, he mocks Shin for being unable to use an AI chip despite his acting skills. Shin is then instructed to always carry a specific item without questioning its purpose, further cementing Instructor Smith's control over him. Shin questions whether the confrontation is over. Instructor Smith demands that Shin explain his mutation magic. Struggling internally, Shin acts again. Despite Instructor Smith's pressure, Shin acts to resist as if it's real. He smiles as he continues with his plan, as if getting affected by Instructor Smith mind control magic. This magic interferes with the target's brain, amplifying emotions, controlling them as intended. If a high-level circle magic user uses this magic, it can even collapse the person's mind, making it extremely dangerous. And the same magic is being used by Instructor Smith against him, but he feels that mutation magic is not the target he's after. The instructor is frustrated seeing he is unable to get what he wants. He puts his hand on his head thinking he can't fail this mission, so he decides to take his vision magic after the mission is over. Instructor Smith acts like he is seeing Shin Hale seems distracted, and asks if he is alright, commenting he has been spacing out. Shin acknowledges that he spaced out, assuring Instructor Smith that he is fine. Instructor Smith decides to end their conversation, excusing himself and wishing Shin good luck. He looks at him as he feels something is going on. At the academy, students moves to cafeteria saying they are hungry, while Shin is lost in thought thinking about the recent short meeting with the instructor. In the exterior of the academy, Shin reflects on the situation, realizing that he has been manipulated into carrying an illegal AI chip. Shin deduces that the goal of the Black Tower is to frame him as an illegal AI user, tarnishing his reputation. Understanding the broader implications, Shin recognizes that this is part of a larger plan. As he roughly tries to estimate the size of the situation, he feels someone is plotting against him. It's likely orchestrated by someone within his family or close circle. Narrowing it down to 4 potential suspects: 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He eliminates one sister, Minji, from suspicion due to her lack of active participation in the succession contest. Shin also rules out his older brother, Inhyuk, because he lacks the boldness to execute such a scheme. Focusing on the remaining suspects, his younger brother and younger sister, Shin concludes that one or both must be behind the framing attempt. Considering capturing Instructor Smith to question him, Shin decides against it, realizing that the Black Tower is highly sensitive to information. Instructor Smith might not even know who the mastermind is. Shin understands that getting caught by the Black Tower at this moment would not be beneficial for him. Deciding to proceed cautiously, Shin heads to the Blue Tower. Upon entering the Blue Tower, Shin notices that Master Kim Kan-jin. He meets with Master Kim Kan-jin, who seems colder than usual, which raises his suspicions further. He decides to then have a talk with the Master of the Blue Tower to sort it out. Covering his face, the Master tells to not act like a burden, with frustration seemingly building up in his eyes. Shin comments that he is as the rumor says. He asks if he is researching something, to which he replies he is studying unusual magic stone. Shin begins to wonder what the magic stone he is talking about. Master Kim Kan-jin is researching an elemental manolite. Shin expresses surprise, acknowledging that the elemental manolite is a rare and powerful magic stone. As the conversation continues, the atmosphere grows tense. The Master with a serious face what he wants to talks about. Shin feels like he is getting a little bit hysterical. Before he gets to the point, he decides to negotiate. He begins to tell about the magic stone the Tower Master is researching, elemental manolite. This information makes Master shocked, and he begins questioning how he knows about that and its existence. Shin tells him it's not like he is a spy in the Blue Tower or stole the information. Shin confesses that he possesses an elemental manolite, which takes Master Kim Kan-jin by surprise. He shows him the perfectly crafted elemental manolite. Surprised, the Master asks if he crafted it himself by any chance. With confidence, Shin explains that he crafted the elemental manolite himself. Master Kim Kan-jin reacts with disbelief, commenting that even top-tier craftsmen struggle to create such gems. Even he himself will find it difficult to craft it regardless, while Shin looks confident enough to do it himself. Observing Shin closely, Master Kim Kan-jin asks if he possessed the magic stone. Confirming the significance of his actions, Shin explains that he brought the stone to the Blue Tower because he believed they could handle it. Master Kim Kan-jin questions how he obtained the magic stone. He responds that he happened to get it by chance and was lucky enough to craft it. Expressing amazement, Master Kim Kan-jin says he is lucky. He then says that mages have the right to keep their secrets, and he won't press any further. He then asks for permission to examine the elemental manolite more closely. He then grants permission to examine the elemental manolite. The Master inspects the stone carefully, noting its unique properties that set it apart from other magic stones. Master Kim Kan-jin asks Shin about the purpose of bringing the stone to the Blue Tower. Shin reveals that he intends to use the stone to craft an artifact. Master Kim Kan-jin expresses curiosity about the type of artifact Shin has in mind. Possibilities like clothing, decorative pieces, or weapons. He concludes that any artifact would suffice, as long as it enhances elemental magic efficiency. Master Kim Kan-jin warns that crafting high-quality artifacts requires not only skill but high-quality materials. Apologizing, he mentions Shin's family, but he says it's a secret project even from the family and anyone else, and he mentions how he will handle the payment, as it would be very costly. They continue discussing the potential cost of the crafting process, and Shin proposes an alternative way to cover the payment, offering to demonstrate how the elemental manolite is crafted. Shin suggests an exchange of knowledge. Shin then asks if there is anything else he can request from Master Kim Kan-jin before they proceed. Master Kim Kan-jin wonders if the request is connected to their main discussion. His curiosity piqued, Shin presents an idea: innovation leveling chip, an illegal IL chip, as part of his request. Master Kim Kan-jin questions where Shin obtained such a chip, his concern evident in his voice. Explaining the origin of the chip, Shin says that a mage from the Black Tower at Obelisk Academy gave it to him. There are mages from the Black Tower hiding at Obelisk Academy, a fact that surprises him. Shin pleads for Master Kim Kan-jin's help in dealing with these mages. The night falls, Shin leaving the car, his mind focused on the future. He reminds her to be cautious, feeling concerned. The lady tells him that they will meet again soon. As he bids farewell to her, reflecting on the events of the day, Shin feels fortunate for the success he's achieved. He didn't expect the Master to be researching elemental manolite. Thinking about it, he feels thankful. He was originally planning to strike a deal by getting 3% share of mining rights from Becca, but things went smoothly. The Master begins to wonder about the strict security of the Academy. Yet there are mages from Black Tower hiding, and the only evidence at the illegal IL chip. He smiles, as he thinks it's time to go ahead and take the risk. Shin Hale arrives at the designated location, confirming his arrival to an unseen contact, and enters the building. He receives a reassuring response, emphasizing trust in the Blue Magic Tower's capabilities. Hale expresses confidence in the plan, relying on his allies to follow through. With the preparations complete, Hale ends the call, ready to execute the next phase of his strategy. The atmosphere is tense yet controlled, reflecting Hale's determination and focus. As he steps into the room, Hale senses the weight of the mission ahead. Shin Shin Hale enters the Shin family mansion, greeted by his siblings and relatives. Shin Minji, the second daughter, greets Hale warmly, noting how much he's grown. Shin Minji greets Shin Hale warmly, noting how much he has grown. The conversation turns lighthearted as Shin Inyuk joins in, teasing Hale about his height. Shin Inyuk welcomes Hale warmly, though his tone hints at underlying tension. Hale responds with a smile, acknowledging the compliment. Minji playfully reminds Inyuk to be careful with his words, maintaining a balance between humor and caution. Hale senses the mix of emotions in the room. Knowing this gathering is more than just a casual meeting, he notices the tension beneath the surface as Shin Jihan and Shin Seiya greet him with subtle remarks about his appearance. Shin Hale senses the tension beneath the surface, realizing his family members are hiding something. He knows the culprit is among them and remains vigilant as they sit down to eat. The eldest brother mentions why he called them, feeling nothing special. Turning the conversation casually, Hale mentions wanting to see everyone after a long time. Shin Hale's siblings question the purpose of the gathering, expressing frustration at what they perceive as a trivial matter. Hale calmly responds, suggesting that even without his involvement, Jihan or Seiya would have arranged a meeting anyway. This revelation catches his siblings off guard, leading to an outburst of anger and disbelief. The tension escalates as Shin Seiya demands that Hale reveal his true intentions, accusing him of playing dumb. Observing the growing tension, Seiya directly asks if Hale is planning to join the succession race. Shin Hale questions whether his siblings would believe him if he said he's not interested in the succession race. His siblings dismiss his claim, doubting anyone would take his words at face value. The tension rises as Shin Seiya grows increasingly frustrated, accusing Hale of being insufferable. Another family member intervenes, reminding Seiya that such accusations are inappropriate, emphasizing that actions speak louder than words when it comes to proving one's intentions. Shin Hale's siblings bring up the topic of his acquisition of a powerful piece of vision magic, known as transformation magic. He inquires whether he plans to share this magic with the family, hinting at its significance. Hale remains composed, acknowledging the conversation but maintaining his composure. The tension escalates as one sibling suggests that sharing the magic would prove Hale's disinterest in the succession race. Shin Seiya insists that it's not a trick, emphasizing her belief in Hale's sincerity. Despite the pressure, Hale stays calm, carefully weighing his next move. Shin Hale addresses his siblings, emphasizing that the vision magic is his only hope. He explains that, as someone unsuited to be a mage, this magic is crucial for him to live as one, making it impossible to share lightly. The conversation shifts as his sister acknowledges that it's their youngest's only hope, while Seiya acts confused, and Hale thanks her for understanding. The family attempts to lighten the mood by suggesting they relax and catch up instead of focusing on the succession race. Shin Hale's siblings express interest in hearing more from him, hoping to ease the tension at the gathering. Everyone looks busy talking. However, Hale remains composed, maintaining his composure as he carefully observes the dynamics among his siblings. The atmosphere shifts between moments of levity and underlying tension, reflecting the complex relationships within the family. Hale decides to check his phone, realizing it's been a while since he last did so. An urgent message interrupts the family gathering, causing everyone to look at their phones in confusion. The siblings are startled by the unexpected news, with expressions of shock and concern spreading across the room. His brother looks at it and is shocked by the news. The breaking news about a criminal affiliated with the Black Tower being identified at the academy. The siblings are shocked by the unexpected and serious nature of the news, especially given the late hour. Hale remains focused as he processes the information, realizing the gravity of the situation and finding the culprit. Shin Hale confirms his suspicions, realizing that Shin Jihan is the culprit behind the suspicious activities. Someone acknowledges Hale's deduction skills, recognizing his role in uncovering the truth. Hale reflects on the situation. The master asks how he knew Lang Smith would mess with supplies. He just replies that he made a logical deduction based on the intel he had, detailing how he concluded that Instructor Smith would act within campus grounds. He notes that the timing of Smith's mind control spell on him and this week's schedule pointed to Friday as the day of action. Hale emphasizes that Friday was the day of the big battle survival exam, making it a critical moment for Smith's plan. Shin Hale deduces that Instructor Smith would need to tamper with the training materials if he wanted to disrupt the survival test. He explains that the usual supply inspection occurs in the afternoon the day before the test, leaving only one opportunity for unnoticed tampering. Thursday night, Hale reveals his plan to have the Blue Tower monitor the supply room, while gathering his siblings to investigate who hired the Black Tower agent. Shin Hale summarizes the successful outcome of his plan, revealing that they caught Instructor Smith and confirmed the presence of a Black Tower spy at Obelisk Academy, highlighting his ability to gather information without compromising himself. He also notes his suspicion about Shin Jihan's connection to the Black Tower. Hale reflects on the flawless execution of his strategy, showcasing his intelligence and strategic thinking assisting in handling the situation, expressing gratitude for the help received from the Blue Tower, which has boosted its reputation. He promises to return the favor in the future, maintaining a sense of honesty and mutual respect in their dealings. Shin Hale ends the conversation with a polite yes, thank you, take care. As he prepares to address an unexpected situation, he senses something unusual and reacts quickly, displaying his alertness and readiness to handle emergencies. Hale is caught off guard by a sudden explosion or attack, showcasing the intensity of the threat he faces. Despite the danger, he remains composed, indicating his determination to confront the challenge head-on. Sayuk aggressively declares, "Heh, die." Shin Hale is lying on the ground, seemingly injured or defeated, as his opponent taunts him with insults. Sayuk unleashes a fiery blast toward him. He struggles to maintain his composure, commenting, "It's so fast." The scene culminates in a massive burst of energy. He activates a glowing blue water shield to deflect a fiery attack, struggling to keep up with all the attacks towards him as power is too strong. The battle keeps on escalating while Sayuki tries to fix water shield. In the chaos, the huge explosion takes place, revealing large flames of fire. Hale gets blown away by its impact, commenting he couldn't completely dodge it while looking at his hand that got hurt in the process. Two adversaries clash violently in a confrontation as Sayuk tells the difference in skills. Taunting, he mocks his resilience despite visible injuries. Hale calls his name back Sayuk while struggling to keep up in the battle, noting his unusable behavior and his eyes are bloodshot. A burning infection spreads as he channels red mana, the reaction that can be seen by illegal doping of the drug named Berserker. The feature is that the forced acceleration of the mana circle causes the blood vessels to burst, and the user fights until death. Hale sneers, asking if his opponent truly believes he's crazy. Sayuk insists he's perfectly fine despite his deteriorating state. He notices the third circle burning infection. Coming closer, Sayuk grabs his hand while the danger seems to be looming around. Hale feels he is in disadvantage, while Sayuk tells him he is now back to normal, and now he is going to die. As he looks at him, he casts a fiery spell, declaring its name as flames engulf him. As the explosion consumes the battlefield, debris flies outward as the attack reaches its peak, scattering smoke and fire. Hale collapses on the ground as Sayuk stands tall. He stammers in disbelief that his foe is still alive, repeating he blocked his magic twice. A close-up of his face shows a mix of fear and fury as he processes the situation. He screams incoherently, covering his face with his hands. He clutches his head as another observes him with concern. Hale muses about unexpected mood swings, labeling Berserker. Sayuk seems to be agony, clutching his head. As he remembers the earlier battle with Hale, Hale reflects on Berserker's effects, questioning the power boost. He confronts Sayuk, demanding to know why he is staring at him. Hale casts Wind Sphere, unleashing a powerful energy attack toward Sayuk. Sayuk counters with an explosive fire-based spell, mocking Hale's magic as trash. Reflecting on the situation, Hale realizes he should have been more cautious with Wind Sphere. The confrontation escalates as Hale prepares another attack, determined to prove himself. Sayuk dismissively notes that Hale's abilities are beneath him, showing no fear. Hale retaliates with Arrow Boom, launching a fierce counterattack. Caught off guard, Sayuk reacts with surprise as the attack hits. Hale is surprised as Sayuk's attack hits him, realizing the impact of his own spell. Sayuk unleashes a powerful fire-based spell, Flame Shotgun, with intense focus and determination. The fiery attack engulfs Hale, as Sayuk tells him to die. Hale reflects on Flame Shotgun's characteristics, noting its limited range but high firepower at close distance. Despite knowing the spell's limitations, Hale refuses to back down, determined not to give in. Hale unleashes a powerful energy attack, engulfing the scene in flames and light. He questions Sayuk about using an IL chip, suggesting deep resentment or betrayal. Sayuk dismisses Hale's accusation as nonsense, laughing off the claim with mockery. Hale reflects on Sayuk's lack of memory, noting that he doesn't remember their past. Sayuk counters with sarcasm, calling Hale a defective piece unworthy of such technology. The tension escalates as Hale prepares another attack, determined to prove his point. Hale explains the effects of the IL chip, detailing how it boosts the user's body and enhances magic formulas. Sayuk dismisses Hale's explanation with anger, calling him a bastard in response. Hale reveals his research into the structural changes of circles and mana, emphasizing his sensitivity to magic transformations. He notes that he is receiving hints from both the IL chip and Berserker, though Sayuk remains confused by his words. Hale refuses to acknowledge any gratitude toward Sayuk, stating that completing his task is simply a matter of timing. The confrontation escalates as Hale unleashes a powerful attack called Resonance, engulfing the scene in energy. Radiating intense energy, Hale contemplates the challenges ahead, hinting at deeper complexities in his journey. Hale reflects on the challenges of combining and accelerating different types of mana circles. He identifies the penalty as a significant issue, noting that it strains both body and mind. The resulting penalty is revealed revealed to be duration, with resonance lasting only 3 minutes at second circle mastery. Afterward, Hale's mana circle will remain inactive for 12 hours, emphasizing the need for careful consideration. Sayuk mocks Hale for his self-talk, questioning whether he is scared of the consequences. Hale remains focused, determined despite the risks and Sayuk's taunts. Hale declares that resonance lasts 3 minutes, which he considers sufficient for his plan. He confidently unleashes Earth Needle, a powerful attack aimed at Sayuk. Sayuk is caught off guard by the intensity of the spell, reacting with surprise and shock. Hale's use of third circle magic astonishes Sayuk, who mocks him for wielding such advanced magic. Hale responds mysteriously, shrugging off Sayuk's disbelief about his use of third circle magic. He taunts Sayuk, asking how he thinks Hale managed to wield such advanced magic. Sayuk reacts with frustration and anger, shouting curses at Hale in desperation. Hale mocks Sayuk for his cliché choice of insults, noting that he is not only bad at magic but also at cursing. Hale casts Water Shield, attempting to block Sayuk's attack, though Sayuk dismisses it as a futile effort. Sayuk mocks Hale, laughing as he taunts him to burn to death. Hale counters with a powerful blue energy attack, showcasing his improved skills. Sayuk dismisses Hale's attempts, calling them futile and cliché. Hale explains that the Water Shield is different from before, hinting at his growth in magic. He confidently declares that Sayuk's attacks can no longer harm him, emphasizing his newfound strength. Sayuk calls out Hale's name, mocking him with a taunting tone. He responds with anger, shouting his name in frustration. Sayuk accuses Hale of using illegal doping to gain his strength, trying to undermine his progress. Hale remains calm, realizing that the confrontation is nearing its end. Hale expresses no sympathy, stating that Sayuk brought his situation upon himself. He unleashes a powerful dark energy attack, leaving Sayuk stunned and confused. Sayuk reacts with shock, realizing the intensity of Hale's newfound power. Hale reflects on Sayuk's lack of hesitation in their confrontation, noting it led to this outcome. Sayuk demands Hale to stop hiding and face him directly, challenging him to fight. Hale casts Earth Bind and Air Bind, trapping Sayuk with binding spells. Sayuk is caught off guard, realizing the effectiveness of Hale's new techniques. He dismisses the bindings as insignificant, but Hale insists it's already too late. Hale offers a final mercy to end Sayuk quickly and painlessly. Sayuk refuses to accept defeat, arguing that his life would have been different without Hale's interference. Hale counters by questioning whether Sayuk's life would have truly changed, leaving him defiant. Sayuk demands to know Hale's location, frustrated by his absence. Hale reveals that he synchronized his mana frequency with Sayuk's overheated chip, causing intense pain. Sayuk screams in agony as the pain intensifies. Unable to endure it, Hale taunts Sayuk, noting that even with Berserker in his system, the pain is unbearable. Sayuk pleads for Hale to stop, gasping and struggling against the overwhelming discomfort. Hale explains that an overclocked AI and body pushed beyond its limits will collapse with just a slight external stimulus. Sayuk suffers intensely, screaming in pain as Hale manipulates his overheated chip. Hale expresses gratitude to Sayuk for his crazy antics, suggesting they may benefit from the Beck family's resources. He speculates about extracting significant mana stone mining rights, hinting at potential gains. Sayuk is left in agony, barely able to respond as Hale taunts him about the situation. Hale bids farewell to Sayuk, mocking him as the tree that gives endlessly. He expresses gratitude for the gift Sayuk has provided, implying he will benefit from Sayuk's suffering. Sayuk is left in excruciating pain, his body racked by spasms as Hale manipulates his chip. Hale delivers a final blow, causing Sayuk to collapse and lose consciousness. The confrontation concludes with Hale standing over the defeated Sayuk, leaving him on the ground. Now it ended. He picks up his phone, then calls his father, acknowledging that he has been watching the entire confrontation. He points out the unusual lack of students or police officers at the dormitory despite the commotion. His father suggests that the students might have been evacuated, highlighting the unnatural absence of intervention. He implies that his father's inaction during the fight is suspicious, noting that most people would have intervened or even attacked him from behind. Hale emphasizes that his father's behavior makes it clear who is responsible for the situation. He thanks his father for the previous protection order, which prevents his older siblings from keeping him under surveillance. His father acknowledges Hale's observations and agrees with his assessment of the situation, revealing that he has been assigned Suk-hyun, indicating a strategic move in their plan, suggesting a sense of control, as Hale seems to be aware of the observer's presence but chooses not to ask for help. He explains that demonstrating this advanced magic was part of his plan. His father questions whether any significant achievements have been made in such a short time, revealing that his claim of using three-circle magic was a lie. He clarifies that he actually used the resonance effect of the second circle master. Despite this, Hale acknowledges that he still lacks sufficient power and is not yet capable of truly mastering three-circle magic. Hale suggests that if his brothers knew about his use of three recircle magic. His siblings might have intervened. He mentions that Uncle Suk-hyun is using sound-blocking magic and illusion magic to block the surroundings. His father on the other end of the call agrees, saying it's not bad, instructing Hale to come back home and stay there. Hale ends the call, saying, "Yes, thank you. I will see you again." A brief pause follows as he processes the conversation. Laughing heartily, his father exhales with a sense of amusement. Laughing lightly, Hale acknowledges Uncle Suk-hyun, noting it's been a while since they last interacted. A masked figure approaches Hale, greeting him and noting it's been a while. Hale responds formally, saying, "Excuse me for a moment." Observing Hale's condition, he remarks that his wound is severe. The masked figure offers to provide only light first aid, stating that the rest will be handled by family doctors. Hale accepts the assistance with gratitude, expressing thanks. Smiling faintly, Hale acknowledges the arrangement and prepares to move on. The masked figure assures that the work being done will not spread outside. The scene transitions to a serene night sky, with stars twinkling above a tall building illuminated by lights. The atmosphere is calm and reflective, emphasizing the quiet conclusion of the interaction. His brother exclaims in frustration, saying "damn," as he adjusts his tie. He walks into a dimly lit, expressing confusion and surprise. "Why? How did this happen?" A masked figure asks if he is finally getting off work. He is surprised to see someone sitting on the sofa, expressing disbelief at their presence. The masked figure reveals they thought they would have to wait forever but admits they really like the sofa. He questions if the person is a Black Tower individual, to which the masked figure responds with amusement, noting that it was really unlucky. The masked figure expresses disbelief that a Blue Tower person interfered and ruined the work. His brother questions whether laughter is appropriate in this situation, appearing frustrated. Reflecting on the masked figure's confident boasting, he resolves not to fail under any circumstances. He asks the masked figure what they want to do with him right now. The masked figure laughs heartily, acknowledging their tendency to laugh often. Reflecting on the failed mission, the masked figure decides to return the commission and handle the aftermath neatly. The masked figure reassures Hale that he is still considered a VIP. The masked figure assures him that there is no chance of information being leaked, telling him not to worry. The conversation shifts to someone named Ringsmith, with the masked figure noting he will die before dawn today. Reflecting on the situation, he dismisses any concern, as Ringsmith's life is not his problem. The masked figure explains that Ringsmith gave the IL chip and Berserker to Beck Sayek, and the IL chip to Hale. The masked figure reassures not to worry, stating that Beck Sayek is already brain dead. He expresses surprise at the term brain dead. The masked figure explains that it seems Beck Sayek attacked Shin Ha-yeol alone. Reflecting on his condition, the masked figure reveals they are currently a breathing corpse due to side effects. Swaying unsteadily, he dismisses the previous topic, focusing instead on what happened to him. The masked figure mentions that there was an injury but it has disappeared now. He questions whether the masked figure is playing word games, insisting they are telling the truth about what they saw. Reflecting on the situation, Hale realizes the implications of the masked figure's statement. He questions whether the outcome means he won against Beck Sayek, who was enhanced with IL chips and Berserker. The masked figure confirms his victory but clarifies that the situation is more complex than it appears. Laughing softly, the masked figure hints at a deeper layer to the events. They note that Kim Suk-hyun was present and that isolation and blocking magic were cast, indicating quick detection. Admitting they couldn't watch the entire fight, the masked figure found it somewhat enjoyable. Wondering about the shadow's involvement, Hale considers its potential role in the events. He asks the masked figure when Kim Suk-hyun started following Shin Ha-yeol. The masked figure recalls seeing Kim Suk-hyun after Shin Ha-yeol broke up with their VIP client, indicating uncertainty about the exact timeline. Reflecting on this, the masked figure mentions Kim Suk-hyun's name, hinting at a deeper connection or significance. He questions whether the leader of Shadow appeared personally. He expresses confusion and frustration, wondering why such an event occurred in this particular place. Reflecting on the situation, he realizes that if Shadow is involved, they must be more cautious. Concluding the conversation, he decides to refrain from bothering him for now. He questions the masked figure about the fate of the IL chip he possesses. The masked figure reassures him that the IL chip has a destruction code recorded separately, so there's no cause for concern. Revealing further details, the masked figure explains that the IL chip has already been destroyed and now floats in the air. He considers whether he has any further questions about the situation. He confirms there are no further questions as the masked figure prepares to leave. The masked figure mentions needing to deal with the issue before departing. Exiting the scene, the masked figure addresses Hale as "dear customer," maintaining a formal tone. Reflecting on the situation, he realizes the need to eliminate all evidence Kim Suk-hyun might notice. He acknowledges that breaking through the security magic of his house isn't a significant challenge. Realizing the importance of time, he decides to hurry. A masked figure soars through the night sky above a bustling cityscape. A few days later, Hale is seen holding a cylindrical object, possibly a device or artifact. With focused attention, he pauses for a while after researching, reflecting on recent events. He mentions hearing from the Blue Tower Lord. Hale learns that Ring Smith suddenly clutched his heart and died while being transported. Reflecting on the situation, Hale expresses surprise and helplessness, noting he never expected to feel so powerless. Realizing there's no further information, he concludes that Uncle Sukhyun likely handled the Baek Sayek case effectively. Hale receives a text message from his father. The message outlines that they agreed to receive 43% of the marble mining rights as a condition for inquiring about the matter. Impressed by the amount of information provided, Hale expresses amazement at his father's thoroughness. Hale expresses relief and satisfaction, acknowledging that things have worked out well. Hale is impressed by the detailed information his father sent. Reflecting on the message, he feels confident about the situation. The text mentions the Academy Olympiad, highlighting its importance as a major wizard competition. Hale realizes that the only major event left is the Academy Olympiad. He acknowledges its significance as a prestigious wizard competition. The scene shifts to reveal that Gongjin's 12-hour penalty has ended, adding urgency to the situation. Hale contemplates the next steps, focusing on what needs to be done. He acknowledges the importance of progressing to the third circle, emphasizing his determination and readiness to move forward. Hale channels magical energy as he prepares for the next phase. He focuses intently on activating the exam page, indicating readiness to proceed. Hale finds himself in a mysterious white space, expressing confusion about his surroundings. He appears disoriented, trying to understand what has happened or where he is. Hale questions whether the white space is another world inside a book. He experiences a sudden burst of energy, reacting with surprise and discomfort. A mysterious figure appears, revealing that Hale has reached the page of the second exam. Hale encounters Beta, who introduces herself as the manager of the second exam pages. Beta explains her role in overseeing the exam, leaving Hale curious about how the second exam will proceed. Hale reflects on whether the second exam will follow a similar format to previous ones. Beta explains that the first exam involved refining elemental manolite under Alpha's task. She clarifies that the second exam focuses on how freely the successor can handle magical circles. Hale listens attentively, reflecting on the differences between the exams. Beta confirms the exam details, explaining that passing will unlock updates on pages 32 to 81 about three-circle magic. Hale reacts with surprise at the significant amount of information available upon passing. He expresses curiosity and excitement about the potential rewards and challenges ahead. Hale expresses excitement about the potential rewards but acknowledges that the three-circle magic level will be significantly different. He reflects on the challenge ahead, noting it may surpass previous levels like the Rings of Review. Despite the fear, Hale sees this as an opportunity to grow and looks forward to the exam with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. Beta announces that she will start the exam immediately. Hale prepares himself, facing forward with determination. Beta informs Hale that she will now reveal the content of the second exam, signaling the beginning of the challenge. Hale recognizes the voice as his master's, feeling a sense of familiarity and urgency. The exam begins with the announcement that 100 magic circles will appear in order. Hale is instructed to activate all the magic circles, signaling the start of the challenging task ahead. Hale focuses intently as he begins to activate the magic circles. The instructions clarify that aligning the resonating circle with the magic circle will naturally activate it. With determination, Hale proceeds to engage with the first magic circle, showcasing his concentration and skill. Hale is surprised as the magic circle suddenly changes, catching him off guard. He realizes that the refresh time for each magic circle is only 3 seconds. The instructions warn that failing to activate a circle within this time will reset the exam, adding pressure to his task. Hale questions whether memorizing the magic circles would simplify the task. He learns that the order of the magic circles changes every time, making memorization ineffective. Realizing the challenge's complexity, Hale accepts that the exam cannot be as straightforward as he initially thought. Hale acknowledges the challenge ahead with a determined smile. He channels his magical energy, preparing to attempt the exam once more. With renewed focus and confidence, Hale declares his readiness to give it another try. The scene transitions to an exterior view of a building, setting the stage for Hale's journey. Hale is interacting with a magical book, indicating his preparation or study phase. After some time, he appears exhausted and contemplative, suggesting the passage of several hours as he works through the challenge. Hale reflects on his progress, noting that he has worked for 8 hours but still has time left. He acknowledges that he is gradually getting the hang of the challenge, though it remains difficult. Realizing he needs more guidance, Hale decides to seek hints or additional resources to improve his chances of success. Hale pauses to think, contemplating his next steps. He decides to seek guidance by exploring other books left behind. As suggested by the voice, the instructions indicate that these books will provide valuable help and insights for his progress. Hale Hale realizes that he will eventually need to find another book for further guidance. He expresses uncertainty about where to locate the book, as its name is unknown to him. The scene transitions to an exterior view of a building. Hale decides to step outside for fresh air and a change of scenery. He enters a store, possibly looking for supplies. Inside, he encounters Adela, who seems surprised to see him, indicating an unexpected meeting. Adela recognizes Hale and expresses surprise at seeing him. They sit down together, acknowledging their frequent encounters. Adela notices Hale's tired appearance and comments on how he seems to have stayed up all night. Admitting he was reading an interesting paper, Hale asks if she would like to read it, showing curiosity about its content. The paper's title is revealed: Feasibility of Magic Related to Space Travel. Adela humorously remarks that the paper seems like a fake book, acknowledging its unusual nature. Despite this, she encourages Hale to read it immediately, showing enthusiasm for the content. Hale agrees and begins reading, indicating his growing interest in the material. Adela enjoys her snack while Hale continues reading the paper. He comments positively on the content, finding it quite good. Hale points out that the paper lacks a conclusion. He expresses curiosity about this detail. Hale clarifies that his analyses in the paper are based on books left behind by Ray Belvedere, emphasizing their personal nature. Hale explains that the book he is referencing has a unique form and structure but shares similarities with Bittner style. He notes that while the book may seem superficial or incomplete, it contains valuable insights related to basic theories. Adela listens attentively as Hale continues to analyze the content. Hale asks Adela about the author of the book they are discussing. Adela responds, revealing that the author is Mr. Go Sang-jun. Working at his desk, he continues his research or analysis. Hale reflects on his identity as a magic researcher, noting that he has no listed affiliation, age, or gender. He mentions that the only paper he has published is the one he saw earlier in the book, speculating that he may have faced harsh criticism, leading him to remain silent and continue his work independently. Hale questions whether the limited information he has is all that an ordinary student can access. He pauses, considering his options, before deciding to take further action. Hale picks up his phone and initiates a call, indicating he is seeking additional help. As he announces he is not just a student. Under a clear sky, the Blue Mage Tower dominates the scene, exuding an aura of magic. Picking up his phone, Hale dials a number with determination. He calmly introduces himself as Shin Hayul during the conversation, explaining his situation. He mentions spending the entire night on research. With a hint of urgency, he brings up a potential collaboration. Pausing briefly, he gathers his thoughts before continuing. And then, Hale directly asks for assistance in locating someone crucial. Obelisk Academy is showcased in vibrant detail, highlighting its grand architecture and lush surroundings. 3 individuals are in a training room, engaged in conversation, suggesting preparation or strategy discussion. Hale casts a spell, emitting blue energy as he focuses intensely on his magic. His friend reacts with surprise. Hale casts a spell, emitting bright blue energy as he focuses intensely. His friend reacts with anger, shouting at Hale and accusing him of cheating. Hale defends himself, explaining that it's just a one-circle spell and questioning what the problem is. He remains frustrated, insisting that using even a simple spell is unfair. Hale continues to argue his case, maintaining that it's only a basic spell and not cheating. His friend expresses frustration, his face contorted in anger. He reacts with surprise, noting that his friend is blocking the spell effectively. Hale laughs confidently, acknowledging his near-death experience but remaining composed. The frustrated character concedes, suggesting they move on to hand-to-hand combat. Hale expresses confidence, questioning whether the other character thinks they can win in close combat. The frustrated friend seizes an opportunity, launching a surprise attack. The attacker celebrates their success, momentarily gaining the upper hand. Hale remains calm, preparing for the next move and maintaining composure, and then easily defeats him. Everyone is amazed by it. Hale acknowledges the idea of hand-to-hand combat, noting it's not a bad strategy. Hale praises the strategy, though his friend feels insulted by the comparison. The attacker accuses Hale of being a dirty fighter, to which Hale responds with a challenge to train harder. Hale asks about his current plan, prompting a surprised reaction. He reveals Hale's goal to win the Olympiad, catching him off guard. Hale is shocked by the revelation, questioning how the other character knew his intentions. He explains that they understand Hale well, and references his exceptional performance during the mana crystal barrier test. He acknowledges Hale's recent achievements but points out the challenges he faces with exams and training. Hale is praised for excelling in everything, leading to a discussion about competing against seniors. He suggests that winning the Olympiad might seem difficult given Hale's current state and magic level. Hale admits to feeling overwhelmed, especially since this year's favorite competitor is a powerful 5-circle user. Hale agrees with Sun-chan's assessment, acknowledging the challenges of succeeding in the Olympiad. He reflects on the need for at least a 4-circle magic level to compete effectively. Determined to find Go Sang-jun, Hale uses his phone to locate him, showing persistence despite the difficulty. After a week of searching, the master apologizes for being late and expresses surprise at how long it took to find someone. Hale discovers Go Sang-jun's current location, realizing it's the old bookstore he visits regularly. Surprised to find him so close, Hale reflects on how Go Sang-jun has been gathering magical information from grimoires and secondhand books. Hale connects this to his confusion about the origin of Eadard's Codex, wondering if it could have come from the same place. Hale enters the bookstore and greets an old man, who responds warmly after a long time. He inquires about Hale's well-being, noting his improved health. He mentions hearing that Hale can now use magic properly, to which Hale expresses gratitude for his guidance. He modestly claims he didn't do much, only selling Hale books that helped him progress. Hale expresses gratitude for the books, acknowledging their impact on his journey. He asks why Hale is there, leading Hale to inquire about his son, Go Sang-jun. Surprised by the question, he wonders how Hale knows about his son, prompting Hale to explain he read a paper written by him and investigated further. Hale apologizes for any intrusion but insists the matter is important and he must meet Go Sang-jun. He confirms the existence of the paper Hale mentioned, acknowledging its significance. He agrees to let Hale meet his son but warns that doing so might not yield any answers. Hale expresses confusion about his statement, prompting him to ask for clarification. He responds mysteriously, telling Hale to follow him for now, leaving Hale curious and intrigued. He leads Hale to a room, revealing that his son is inside. Hale enters the room, finding it to be his son's space. Surprised and curious, Hale hesitates before proceeding, wondering about the implications of meeting him. Entering the room, Hale is shocked to find Sang-jun lying unconscious on a bed, connected to medical equipment. The scene shifts to show Sang-jun's frail condition more clearly. His health looks extremely critical. Mr. Go confirms that Sang-jun is indeed his son. Lying on the bed, he asks about the circumstances leading to Sang-jun's current condition. Reluctantly agreeing to explain, Mr. Go reveals that Sang-jun broke a significant taboo as a mage, reflecting on Sang-jun's name. Elaborating further, Mr. Go explains that Sang-jun violated the greatest mage's taboo by circulating mana into his brain. Realizing the parallels, Hale connects their stories. Expressing confusion, he questions the nature of the taboo involving mana circulation. Explaining further, Mr. Go reveals that Sang-jun had no choice but to circulate mana into his brain to establish a flawed thesis. Processing this information, he realizes the risks Sang-jun took. Regretting not stopping Sang-jun, Mr. Go acknowledges the severity of his actions. Apologizing, Hale senses the emotional burden it carries for Mr. Go. Acknowledging Sang-jun's intellect, Hale notes that he would have enjoyed speaking with him. Apologizing again, Hale recognizes that he may have complicated Mr. Go's emotions unnecessarily. Mr. Go reassures Hale, telling him not to worry. Acknowledging Hale's diligence and care for books, Mr. Go reflects on how his actions remind him of Sang-jun. The scene shifts to a library setting, emphasizing the connection between Hale's habits and Sang-jun's legacy. Hale respectfully asks if he can examine the books Sang-jun used for research. Mr. Go agrees, noting that the books are better off with someone who needs them. He expresses gratitude and mentions 2 requests, including Sang-jun's name in any paper written on spatial magic, and avoiding reckless use of mana in the brain. He readily agrees to both requests, showing trust. The scene transitions to Mr. Go presenting the books Sang-jun studied, leaving Hale curious about which one is most important. Hale notices something unusual about one of the books, hinting at its significance. Hale examines the book closely, realizing it resembles the Book of Eidard. Recognizing the handwriting as Sang-jun's, Hale expresses surprise and curiosity about its contents. Reflecting on the importance of the book and its connection to Sang-jun, Hale searches Sang-jun's study but finds only one book similar to the Book of Eidard. Puzzled by the presence of the Book of Eidard, Hale questions how it ended up there. Hale politely asks if he can borrow the book, to which Mr. Go agrees, allowing him to take it home. He thanks him, and questions about other similar books. While Hale is thinking how the Book of Eidard ended up there, the scene ends with Hale sitting alone, contemplating the mysteries surrounding the book and its origins. Hale continues to ponder the connection between Sang-jun and the Book of Eidard, wondering how Sang-jun obtained such a rare book. Hale remains confused, searching for answers about the book's origin and its unexpected appearance in in his possession. He holds 2 glowing books, realizing it's better than finding none. Suddenly, both books emit a powerful glow, surprising Hale. Hale notices the books are reacting to each other, indicating a mysterious connection. The scene intensifies as the books continue to glow, pulling Hale into an unknown realm. A voice announces that the book is meant for the rightful successor of the Book of Idard. Hale feels himself being drawn in, overwhelmed by the magical energy surrounding him. He is pulled by the book and vanishes from the world as he seems to enter inside the book. Hale finds himself inside the Book of Mimir. Hale looks around, confused but intrigued by the magical environment he has entered, greeted by a mysterious figure. The figure introduces herself and welcomes Hale to the books. Showing his surprise, he asks who she is. Introducing herself as Mimir, she exclaims, then tells him she is the administrator of the place, Mimir's Well. She tells Hale that it was nice to meet him, successor. Hale questions Mimir's Well. In response, she says that it's the name of this library. Mimir reveals that the library was created by Ray Bell Bytainer for future successors. He is shocked as the library is exclusively for Bytainer successors. Hale expresses skepticism about the size of the library, considering it too small to be significant. Mimir explains that the scale of the library changes based on the successor's level, hinting at its potential growth. Mimir notes that Hale hasn't passed even the second trial yet, judging by the current size of the library. Hale agrees, acknowledging his low achievement level. Mimir suggests they speak casually. Hale is taken aback in confusion, adding, Mimir says since they will see each other often, it feels odd to keep being formal, aiming to build comfort between them. Hale agrees to the casual approach, finding it suitable given their frequent encounters. Complimenting Hale on his talent, Mimir notes he has reached the second circle quickly and found her early. Hale remains skeptical, questioning why finding Mimir early is beneficial. Mimir explains that reaching the 5th circle smoothly without issues and is advantageous. Hale expresses confusion about reaching the 5th circle. Using her magic, she floats in air, bringing forth a mysterious book near her, and hands over to Hale, telling him to read it to understand. Hale examines the book closely, realizing it contains detailed theories on resonance. She notes that this place is filled with information that couldn't be included in Idard's codex. Questioning his doubts, he asks why that was. Mimir clarifies that this supplemental knowledge was intentionally omitted from Idard's codex due to content overload and excessive content. She explains that only essential information was included in Idard's codex for various purposes, confirming the reason for the creation of supplemental Mimir's Well. He questions if the master recorded more detailed content here. Affirming, she says that Idard's codex is like a summarized guide and this place is like a reference book. Hearing it, he asks if all the books here are packed with dense information and if the number of books increases as achievements grow. Confirming it, she then proceeds to ask him if he knows how to get to 5th circle, to which he confidently replies affirmatively and expresses confidence in passing the second trial using the knowledge gained. The scene transitions to a glowing book with mysterious scribbles. Hale lying on the mysterious space glowing, and opens his eyes commenting 79 circles. He proceeds to synchronize 100 magic circles for the second trial. At first, it took him 8 hours to do 10, but he was able to synchronize 79 circles in one go after discovering Mimir's Well. Hale reflects on the hardships he endured. Reflecting on his progress, Hale expresses confidence in clearing all 100 magic circles by tonight at the earliest or by tomorrow at the latest. Appreciating his luck, he shows gratitude for obtaining Mimir's codex before the Olympiad. The scene shifts to a serene outdoor view. He arrives at a grand building, preparing for an important meeting. Entering the building, he follows the maid. Hale reflects on why he is being summoned, considering it might be related to a previous incident. Questioning the timing, he feels conflicted about leaving Mimir's Well for this meeting. The maid tells the head of the family, Master Hale is here. He greets his father after entering the room. With a serious look on his face, his father tells him to sit and he will get straight to the point, beginning the conversation regarding the contribution, which is undeniably more than half this time, and combining it with previous case. His share of mana stone mining rights is 26%. His father acknowledges his hard work and decides to reward him appropriately, asking what he desires. Hale considers his options carefully, knowing this decision is important. Thinking through his choices, he realizes the ancient relic is his best option and requests access to an ancient relic stored in the family vault. The father questions his belief in myths surrounding ancient relics, dismissing them as mere antiques. Hale explains that he doesn't believe in legends but trusts there's truth in even the myths. The father responds skeptically, noting his youth and tendency to believe far-fetched ideas. Weighing his son's determination, the father agrees to respect his choice, allowing him to take one item from the family treasure vault. Hale confirms his request, expressing gratitude for the opportunity given to him. Questioning him, his father asks what relic he wants. In response, he tells the ancient relic resting in the family's treasure vault. The scene transitions to the vault. Examining the item items options. He thinks of the robe. Then he announces what he wants is Ray Bell Bytainer's robe. In the treasure vault of the Mage Divine family building, Hale's father accepts a black box with a golden dragon emblem. With a serious tone, Hale's father wishes his son avoids regretting the decision. Smiling softly with gratitude, Hale thanks his father for entrusting him with the mysterious artifact. Sighing with visible concern, Hale's father remarks on his son's youthful inexperience for believing in an absurd story. Repeating his cautious warning, Hale's father hopes Hale avoids regretting the choice and devotes himself to the training. Nodding in understanding, Hale assures his father that everything will be fine. Inside a luxurious car, Hale reflects on the ancient relics of his family's lineage being genuine. With a doubtful gaze, he looks at the box wondering about the robe of Ribal Bittner. Weighing his decision for an artifact in return of the 30% share of mana stone mining rights, he begins to wonder if it really is his master's robe. Doubts lingers in his mind, questioning, what if it might be a fake artifact? Opening the box, he gets shocked by the sight. He feels the glowing aura around the robe and questions if this is the pure mana fiber, a high-level technique where mana stones are finely spun into the thread through crafting technology. There are fewer than 30 artisans worldwide capable of handling mana fiber. Commenting with surprise, he says the whole robe is made of mana fiber, as he had never seen anything like this and recently produced mana fiber artifacts can't even come close to it. He watches the robe with excitement. In his academy dormitory, he begins to inspect the robe closely, recognizing the familiar handwriting inside. Hale confirms the robe belongs to his master with certainty. Holding the shimmering purple robe in his hands, Hale questions its unusual layered structure with confusion. Examining the robe's structure with focus, Hale learns the inner and outer layers are reversed. He comments that the inner and outer layer must be constructed differently. The inner layer is designed to enhance mana conduction and efficiency while outer does the opposite. But this robe's structure is the exact opposite, which means the outer layer enhances mana efficiency and takes more damage while inner does the opposite. Explaining the robe's complexity, Hale thinks his master wouldn't make such a design mistake. Considering the robe's design with a smile, Hale suggests it might be meant to be worn inside out. Glowing with a vibrant pink aura, the robe radiates magical energy as Hale watches. Reflecting on the robe's structure with curiosity, Hale comments the structure remains the same even when reversed. Thinking deeply, he begins to wonder about the purpose behind it. Questioning the relic's authenticity with doubt, he asks if it could truly be an ancient artifact. Realizing his father's secrecy with clarity, he understands why his father left it in storage. Inside a room with a glowing magic circle, Mimir's well, Hale comes with enthusiastic expression as he calls Mimir. Mimir exclaims to Hale with excitement, calling him successor, and asks if he is here. Pointing at the robe eagerly, Mimir questions what it is. With surprise, she asks if it's Ray's robe. She tells his luck is insane. With a frustrated look, Hale explains that the robe feels a bit strange to him. Holding the robe up, she wonders what makes the robe so strange. Mimir looks at him with shock and it startles Hale. Mimir tells Hale that he is still in the second circle. With a curious expression, Hale says Mimir yes. She tells him so it would be natural to not know, and he asks to tell him how to use it. Apologizing with a nervous expression, Mimir says she can't explain anything about the robe. With a surprised reaction, Hale questions why Mimir can't explain the robe's details. Refusing to elaborate, Mimir explains it has a very special spell. As she speaks, she realizes something. Explaining further in frustration, Mimir says she thinks the spell's name can't be mentioned and just says to forget about it. Mimir tells Hale that the Bittner-style magic has a special spell called True Magic. With a curious look, Hale questions True Magic. She tells him that unlike his magic, it's real magic. He asks if the magic he's been using is not real. Confirming it, she says unfortunately that's the correct way to put it, and she can't disclose anything until he reaches a certain level. Curiously, he asks if it is some kind of restriction. Mimir tells him that the robe is an artifact that exists to support true magic. With a sigh, he says she can't explain the robe's details fully. Cheering with excitement, Mimir praises Hale for catching on quickly to her hints. With a curious expression, Hale asks what level he needs to reach for the robe's explanation. Explaining with confidence, Mimir says it's the 5th circle for the robe's secrets. With a determined tone, Mimir tells Hale he must master the 5th circle first and enter the page of the 5th trial. Noting the challenge, Mimir says Bittner-style magic truly begins with the 5th circle mastery. Surrounded by a cosmic glow, a magical book radiates light. Floating above a glowing magic circle, Hale feels power surge through him. As he keeps on with his test, with a determined expression, Hale successfully completes the 2nd test within the magical realm. Amidst sparkling energy, Hale hears a voice congratulate him on passing. The voice tells Hale he has passed the 2nd test and done well. Explaining the next step, the voice says it will teach Hale the 3rd ring weaving. With a serious tone, the voice introduces the 3rd infinity circle as the interference technique. Questioning the term, Hale wonders what the voice means by the ring of interference. Closing the book, Hale reflects on mastering the second test with Mimir's help. Then it's time to weave the ring of interference. As he looks at the book, he tells if it weren't for the robe in Mimir's book, the second test would have taken longer. The night before at Mimir's well, Hale recalls Mimir's advice to become a master of the fifth circle, as the true magic begins only after mastering the fifth circle. Standing in the library, Hale agrees with Mimir that there's no choice but to continue. Hale decides to keep the robe in storage until the fifth circle. With a surprised reaction, Mimir questions why Hale is putting the robe in storage. Explaining the robe's issue, Hale says the inner and outer layers of mana are reversed. Mimir says to give her the robe as she takes it away from him. Holding the shimmering robe, Mimir explains it prevents mana from leaking out and traps it inside, allowing it to reach a state of mana saturation. Explaining further, Mimir notes that when mana is saturated, infinity circles spin faster than usual, which means that mana flowing through his brain increases too. Describing the effect, Mimir says the robe speeds up mana to recover the brain from fatigue. Comparing it to physical fatigue, Mimir explains it's the same physical fatigue accumulated in the body. With a determined look, Hale realizes that wearing the robe can reduce his need for sleep. With a cheerful expression, Mimir tells Hale wearing the robe means he doesn't need sleep at all. With a shocked reaction, Hale questions Mimir about not needing even a little sleep. Explaining further, Mimir confirms that wearing the robe for 5 hours a day is enough, adding Hale will actually maintain peak condition. Adding more details, Mimir notes that this is just a bonus effect of the robe. Pointing out the limitation, Mimir says the effect isn't the robe's true power. With a determined smile, Hale declares he wants to become a fifth circle master soon. Inside the library, Mimir tells Hale that it's only the case because he's the successor for the robe and poisonous for others. With a confident smile, he assures that he knows the robe's effects well and adds that with a broken item, the upcoming test will be easier. 2 days later, Hale sits in his room, focusing on his magical training. With a tired expression, Hale admits he's exhausted but feels something is missing. Reflecting on his progress, Hale thinks he's close to grasping the interference magic. Studying the open book, Hale continues to practice the interference technique. Amidst a glowing magic circle, the third circle holds the power to interfere with someone else's mana, and for that it needs to synchronize mana 100% with another's. Questioning the concept, Hale wonders if that's the explanation of the ring of interference, meddling in someone else's magic. With an excited smile, Hale says the interference magic sounds fun to him. Reflecting on the test, Hale admits he didn't expect at all, and the second test is a stepping stone to interference. To weave the third ring, he needs to synchronize with surrounding mana. Explaining further, continuing the resonance will form the third ring. With a determined expression, Hale acknowledges the challenge of weaving the third ring. With a confident tone, Hale declares that this time he will definitely succeed. Synchronizing with the mana, Hale senses the abundant mana in the air around him. With a focused look, Hale notes that the mana in his body is already saturated. Amidst the cosmic realm, glowing mana spirits whisper to Hale about building a new home. Floating in a magical aura, Hale senses the mana's energy surrounding him. With a focused expression, Hale feels the mana being absorbed into his body. Hearing the mana's voices, Hale listens to their playful invitation to join them. With a calm demeanor, Hale acknowledges how nice the mana's presence feels. Reflecting on the warmth, Hale admits it feels too comforting to leave. He feels like he is in another realm, with all the voice and spirits in front of him telling to join hands and form the ring. With a joyful chant, the spirits suggest singing and dancing to become one with Hale. With a strained expression, Hale notes that the mana's energy feels hot to him. Reflecting on the process, Hale realizes that even a 1% difference in mana rate causes issues. With a concerned thought, Hale worries that the mana won't settle in his body properly. By managing that 1% amplification rate, he allows the mana to settle in the body. The mana circle is forming quietly without noticing them. A bright sky with fluffy clouds after his training. Sitting on the floor, Hale feels exhausted from his intense magical practice. With a surprised gasp, Hale reacts to the sudden clarity of his surroundings. Standing in his room, Hale declares that he has finished his magical training. With a determined expression, Hale identifies his progress as the first circle, deliberation. Surrounded by glowing mana, Hale recalls mastering the second circle, resonance. With a focused tone, Hale announces that he has now reached the third circle. Channeling the mana, Hale demonstrates the third circle's interference technique with confidence. Surrounded by glowing mana, Hale declares that he has reached the third infinity circle. With a proud smile, Hale announces that he has finally completed the interference technique. Reflecting on his progress, Hale says he needs to get stronger as quickly as possible. With a determined thought, Hale aims to reach the level of a fifth circle master. Looking at the sky, Hale notices a bright, serene landscape after his training. Sitting in a forest, Hale wonders about the upcoming battle survival exam. With a thoughtful expression, Hale learns the test takes place in Kangwon's mountainous regions. Examining his wrist wrist device. Hale notes the test duration is 32 hours for survival. With a focused mindset, Hale understands that every student equips a special artifact. Amidst the scenery, Hale realizes the test requires surviving in a shrinking area for points. With a determined tone, Hale agrees that it's a simple test of survival. Preparing for the challenge, Hale says it's time to move into the test area. Noticing a monster, an announcement warns Hale that survival isn't just about monsters. With a serious tone, the announcement explains that Hale must also deal with other students. Understanding the rules, Hale learns that surviving requires earning a total of 50 points. Dodging a fiery attack, Hale swiftly avoids an assault in the forest. With a confident stance, Hale blocks another attack using his magical barrier. Channeling his magic, Hale counters with a powerful interference spell. With a taunting smirk, another student tells Hale he dodged well but caught the flow. Facing the student, Hale questions how he can counter magic with just a fist. Another student mocks him as he sees he is using the fist. Hale looks calm and composed as he charges, and uses his skill interference, creating the crack in the shield as per the effect of his skill as its impact is visibly seen. With a surprised reaction, the student expresses shock at Hale's interference magic. Casting a spell weakens the core of the magic barrier. With a powerful strike, he gets hit with a one-circle earth sphere in the forest. Shouting in shock, the student questions what Hale's barrier-like earth sphere is. With a tone, Hale asks the student if he's ambushing him while attacking. With a confused expression, Hale wonders what the student means by shouting during the attack. Amidst the forest, Hale realizes the power of interference magic. With a determined stance, he remembers how he countered the interference magic with his own. Noticing the defeated student, Hale sees that he has taken down his opponent in the forest. With a thoughtful expression, Hale reflects that it naturally worked out after the battle. Checking his wrist device, Hale confirms that he gains 10 points for defeating the student. With a small smile, a chibi Hale comments that it's a good start to the exam. With a focused mindset, Hale thinks he's getting the hang of interference magic. At a steady pace, Hale notes that interference might work on magic as well. Expressing gratitude, Hale says he's thankful for the challenging situation in the exam. Someone attack him again with a fireball as it takes him by surprise. Spotting bloodclaw wolves, Hale exclaims that he's surrounded by the creatures in the forest. With a surprised expression, Hale questions if he's really surrounded by the wolves. Noticing their approach, Hale observes that the wolves came after hearing the battle earlier. With a strategic thought, Hale recalls that if it was regular students, they would be whining. Considering his options, Hale bets that he wants to dominate the forest overwhelmingly. With a determined mindset, Hale expresses gratitude for the challenging encounter with the wolves. Amidst the tension, Hale prepares to face the bloodclaw wolves with his magic. Growling fiercely, a bloodclaw wolf charges at Hale with intense aggression in the forest. With a taunting tone, Hale challenges the wolves to come at him in the battle. Watching the screen, an observer starts to comment on the situation. With a curious tone, the observer calls out to another in the observation room. Noticing the screen, she identifies the students as Kim Kang-soo and Ma Jae-hak. With an impressed tone, the observer remarks that the students are truly remarkable in the exam. Amidst the discussion, the observers watch Hale's battle with the wolves on the screen. Continuing the discussion, he predicts that if things go on, Hale will reach the top 10. With a skeptical tone, she questions if it's tough for Hale to make it to the end. Observing the screen, she notes that it seems there's no one left in the area. With a focused tone, the observer suggests they should doubt Shin Hale's skills now. Noticing Hale's performance, she asks if instructor Go Chang-soo is watching the exam. With a calm response, Go Chang-soo confirms that it's true about Hale's skills. Expressing concern, the observer wonders if they might hope for an Olympiad victory with Hale. Commenting on the rankings, an observer notes that Hale is in first place in the exam. With an impressed tone, he exclaims that Hale is leading by an overwhelming margin. Explaining the wolves, he describes that a bloodclaw wolf pack rushes in even from far away. Using his knowledge, he adds that killing the wolves racks up points in the exam. Considering the future, he thinks that if this continues, Hale might dominate the exam. Facing the wolves, Hale questions if he really scored enough points in the exam. With a determined stance, Hale agrees to take on the wolves in the forest. Noticing the ground, Hale exclaims that there's an earthquake in the area. With a shocked expression, Hale denies that the earthquake can be happening now. Realizing the danger, Hale notices that the ground is moving beneath him in the forest. Amidst the chaos, Hale prepares to protect himself from the earthquake's effects. With a tense expression, Hale wonders what this sudden earthquake means for the exam. Dodging the chaos, Hale notices a massive body like an elephant in the forest. With a surprised tone, Hale exclaims that the creature has an emerald on its back. Dodging the emerald turtle's attack, Hale exclaims that it's a massive elephant-like creature. With a shocked expression, Hale notes that the creature is a jade-green emerald turtle. He questions why such a rare monster is in the exam area. With a determined stance, Hale prepares to confront the emerald turtle in the forest. With a forest backdrop, Hale stands stands ready to face the emerald turtle. Hale reflects that it's his first time seeing the creature in person. With a determined mindset, Hale prepares to use his magic against the new threat. Charging at the emerald turtle, Hale challenges the creature to come at him. With a forest setting, Hale engages in battle with the emerald turtle. Inside a control room, several people monitor the situation involving Hale and the emerald turtle. Discussing the situation, a person notes that Hale is finally escaping danger. A blonde man in a suit explains that the purpose of this event is to explore the benefits of collaboration. Reflecting on the event, the blonde man states that it arose from a monster escaping in the main training field. Observing the situation, a woman with glasses remarks that no matter how much of a genius Hale is, he cannot handle the challenge alone. The emerald turtle, a D-rank monster equivalent to Class C, is characterized by immense defensive capabilities, and is the natural enemy of magicians. Charging forward, the emerald turtle unleashes a powerful attack with glowing energy. Hale dodges the emerald turtle's strike as shards of energy explode around him. Leaping into the air, Hale avoids another assault from the emerald turtle under a bright sky. Smiling confidently, Hale thinks that if he captures the monster, he will gain a massive amount of kill points. Hale prepares to cast a spell as he faces the emerald turtle in the outdoor field. Raising his hand, Hale creates a glowing blue barrier under the bright sky. Hale leaps into the air while maintaining the barrier against the emerald turtle's attack. Watching from a control room, a person notes that the barrier is not strong enough. Hale realizes that the turtle is not an easy opponent for a fifth circle magician. Unleashing a fiery attack, Hale casts a spell called Vulcan Flame against the emerald turtle. Hale lands on the ground as the fiery explosion engulfs the area. Wondering if the attack worked, Hale looks toward the emerald turtle with concern. Hale notices the emerald turtle charging again amidst the smoke and flames. Expressing shock, Hale exclaims that it cannot be possible for the turtle to withstand the attack. Dodging the emerald turtle's attack, Hale continues to fight in the outdoor field. Hale realizes that this is not easy at all, even for a fifth circle user to defeat the monster alone. Hale observes that the turtle may be faster because it has mana in its body. Noticing a change, Hale thinks that the turtle has mana in its body for a moment. Hale leaps into the air, realizing he needs to rest. A voice advises Hale to enhance his leg strength to improve his mobility. Reacting with surprise, the emerald turtle lets out a cry as Hale's attack lands. Hale dodges another strike from the emerald turtle in the outdoor field. Realizing the turtle's power, Hale admits that he underestimated it and that the barrier cannot block the attack. Hale creates a glowing resonance of energy to counter the emerald turtle's assault. Reacting with shock, Hale exclaims that the emerald turtle's strength is unbelievable. Hale realizes that he underestimated the turtle and that his barrier cannot block its attack. Creating a glowing resonance, Hale counters the emerald turtle's assault with energy. Hale understands that this is a face-to-face confrontation with the turtle, and learns that directly after the attack, he cannot move or regain his leg strength immediately. Casting a spell, Hale unleashes a powerful wind attack against the emerald turtle. Hale faces the emerald turtle as it charges toward him in the outdoor field. Hale recalls reading about the turtle in a picture book when he was young, and explains that the double charge of the emerald turtle puts stress on its joints. Hale notices the emerald turtle's weakened state after its attack. He realizes that this is his chance to strike back, and leaps into the air while casting an ice spear spell against the turtle. Watching from the control room, a group of people observes Hale's battle with the emerald turtle. He activates interference. The emerald turtle struggles as Hale's ice spear hits its weakened joints. Hale lands on the ground as the turtle collapses in the outdoor field. Breathing heavily, Hale feels relieved that he won the battle. Hale checks his wrist device, which shows he earned 1,000 points. A voice announces that Hale has earned 1,000 points for his victory. Hale smiles confidently, feeling satisfied with his performance. The scene shifts to a grand building labeled the Mansion of the Magic God. Inside the mansion, a person watches Hale's battle on a screen. Discussing the battle, a man notes that although the emerald turtle is weak against the ice attribute, Hale's skill is impressive. He admits that they do not know how Hale managed with just 3 circles. He responds that he does not know either. Despite the question, the man suggests that it still seems like there will naturally be resistance. He listens as the man mentions that there will be crucial survival tests. His father comments that they did not raise Hale to be weak. Running toward a campfire, Hale approaches the outdoor training area. Pointing at Hale, a man asks that if he thinks he is better than Saya in checks, his actions will be toxic. His father explains that these are all premeditated actions. Hale responds with a simple yes to the man's statement. He reveals that in the past, when magic was restricted, Hale was excluded from the family competition. He listens as Hale's father states that as a result, the family is currently in a miserable state, and adds that things are different now for the family. He hears him say that he does not know how, but Hale has gained great strength, and concludes that Hale has also made remarkable progress in magic. Reflecting on the situation, he mentions that during the 2 months leading up to the Olympics, Hale received protection from harassment, stating that if Hale can perform as well as possible, he will be able to gain the family's attention and enhance their power. He listens as Hale's father says that he must be under Saya's checks for 2 months of protection, and adds that this will resolve an issue for the family. Shin Hale stands near a campfire as his father keeps telling the man he is a bold man. Shin Hale explains that on the first day of survival training, no confrontations are allowed between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. for safety, and adds that they got out to make it easier, which is different since the students' skills vary so much, concluding that some countries' stricter rules than the academy need to change. Shin Hale notes that this time, they can bring magic tools. He admits that he does not know if that will make things more dangerous for the masters. Looking determined, Shin Hale says he will throw the meat away but maybe he should eat it too, and takes a bite of the meat, saying it is alright and he will eat it. Shin Hale eats the meat very well, enjoying the taste. Adela and Sunchan, watching Shin Hale, call out to him in surprise. He exclaims that Sunchan and Adela are also there, pointing them out. Shin Hale, Sunchan, and Apella are seen together, having come out of the forest, sitting around a campfire. She mentions that they were fighting until a little past 11 a.m. A person with short brown hair admits that they were quarreling and got beaten one-sidedly. He explains that the fight stopped at 11 a.m., so they must have crawled toward the delicious smell. Sunchan agrees that the smell is expectedly great. He points out the smell of the meat, calling it a killer, and asks who will give them some. Shin Hale, looking embarrassed, both, in a chibi style, ask where the young and wine are between them. Feeling embarrassed, Sunhan, holding a piece of meat, exclaims that the smell is killer, and Adela thanks Shin Hale for the meal. Adelal, looking delighted, says it is really delicious. Shin Hale, looking embarrassed, asks if the meat is frozen, and holding the meat, explains that only 2 monsters in the training field are edible as meat, the honey bear and the emerald turtle. They stand together in the forest, continuing their conversation. She mentions that honey bears and emerald turtles are monsters that are edible or tasteless, so they eat them, and asks Shin Hale if he hunted an emerald turtle. Shin Hale confirms that he did hunt an emerald turtle. Shin-chan, surprised, asks if he really hunted it in the West, since he only hunts turtles online. He explains how he did it. Adela, shocked, says she has never heard of such. She explains that a magician with less than 3 magic circles cannot hunt an emerald turtle. Shin Hale, looking determined, unleashes a fiery attack with a burning crash effect. Adela, watching in shock, exclaims that it is impossible for a magician with 3 magic circles to do this. Still in disbelief, asks if Shin Hale is a 6th circle magician. Shin Hale, looking amazed, comments on how the master's magic is incredible with 3 circles. Shin Hale admits that he has no choice but to keep the secret of how he did it. Sunchan and Adela, watching Shin Hale, ask how he won and what it means to pierce the emerald turtle from above the shell. Shin Hale explains that it is being broadcasted to the academy so they can watch the footage later. Shin Hale declines to explain further, saying, no, I don't think so. Sunchan and Adelal, watching Shin Hale, he asks if they will fight tomorrow fairly and squarely. She agrees, saying that sounds great, then good luck, adding that she also had something to show Shin Hale. It's the 2nd day of survival test. In a control room, a person notes that the survival circle has shrunk, and now only 4 people remain. Walking through a forest, Shin Hale wonders who will stand at the top of this survival battle. Shin Hale casts a wind spear spell, preparing for a fight. Shin Hale unleashes a powerful wind attack in the outdoor field. Shin Hale recalls that they have returned to the supernova phase. A strange man looks from the top as Shin Hale is on the ground looking upwards. The man comes down quickly throwing a punch and he evades. The movements are so fast. The man then throws the kick and Hale somehow manages to dodge that. Looking at the man, feeling pressure of the situation he is in, he notes that the wind cutter and real thing is a close combat. Standing in a forest, a person with yellow eyes says they will bully Shin Hale and unlucky to meet him there. Noticing the challenge, Shin Hale apologizes for being lucky. Feeling optimistic, Shin Hale thinks he is lucky to face a close-range magician of his rank. Gazing at a grand building, the scene shifts to an academy under a bright sky. Preparing for a challenge, a person with red hair stands confidently. A person with brown hair states that as expected of Ji Samwook, the body enhancement magic is truly the best. The person with brown hair adds that among the second year, years. Jill Sanwook is at the top of the martial arts. Noticing the challenge, Shin-hail prepares to face an expert in body enhancement magic. Shin-hail realizes that he cannot casually use interference magic on him. Shin-hail recalls that in the past, he was able to challenge someone in the same age group. Casting a spell, Shin-hail uses body enhancement magic in the outdoor field. Shin-hail wonders if his opponent wants to engage in close combat. A person with red hair declares that this will be a fair and direct confrontation, which he finds cool. Observing from the control room, a group watches Shin-hail's battle on a screen. A person notes that it seems Shin-hail has chosen a body enhancement magic battle. The person with gray hair agrees that this choice is obvious and right. Recalling past events, a person mentions that among the second years, he was the best. Reflecting on the past, a person with gray hair notes that Shin-hail's abilities are still ridiculous considering yesterday's Emerald Turtle match. Shin-hail prepares to engage in combat with his opponent in the outdoor field. A close-up of Shin-hail's eye reveals his demon eye ability. Noticing the mana flow, he concludes, the person with red hair's mana is concentrated in his fist. Shin-hail realizes that the mana has shifted to his knee instead. Reacting to the attack, Shin-hail exclaims in shock. He delivers a powerful kick attack in the outdoor field. Noticing his opponent's strength, Shin-hail acknowledges that it is as expected. Shin-hail considers that if he uses a barrier, it might help. Shin-hail decides to push his opponent back with a magical attack. Unleashing a powerful spell, Shin-hail attacks his opponent with a burst of blue magic in the outdoor field. The person with red hair questions if Shin-hail is mastering the magic completely. The person with red hair exclaims that he has never seen magic like this before. Wondering about Shin-hail's abilities, the person with red hair asks if this could really be the return of the genius magician. The person with red hair admits that it is definitely not just a rumor. Noticing the intensity, Shin-hail remarks that the battle is getting interesting. The person with red hair admits that he has his pride too. The person with red hair declares that he will not lose in close-range combat. Preparing for the clash, Shin-hail focuses his magic into his fist. Shin-hail gives his opponent a chance to back down. The person with red hair and Shin-hail collide with a powerful magical burst in the outdoor field. Reacting in shock, Shin-hail exclaims in surprise at the impact. Watching from the control room, the group exclaims that he blocked the attack. Shin-hail defends himself against his opponent in the outdoor field. Shin-hail admits that the attack does not feel bad but is still clumsy. Noting the strategy, he thinks he should have disguised a flame attack as a fake and launched it. The person with red hair unleashes a counterattack against Shin-hail in the outdoor field. Struggling from the impact, the person with red hair shows signs of injury in the outdoor field. Noticing the speed, the person with red hair exclaims that Shin-hail is fast. The person with red hair prepares to counter Shin-hail in the outdoor field. Shin-hail lets out a small laugh in response to the intensity. Warning his opponent, Shin-hail tells the person with red hair that he is going to defend like that again. Shin-hail points out that the person with red hair's guard is wide open. The person with red hair realizes that Shin-hail's first enhancement magic was a feint and that it is actually a kick attack. Delivering a powerful blow, Shin-hail strikes the person with red hair in the outdoor field. The person with red hair questions how Shin-hail enhances his legs with magic. Clutching his side, the person with red hair exclaims that it feels like his ribs are broken. The person with red hair declares that he is a fighter despite the pain. He vows that he will endure the pain and rely on sheer willpower. Preparing to strike, the person with red hair launches an attack in the outdoor field. The person with red hair announces that attack is the destiny of a fighter. Shin-hail braces himself for the incoming attack in the outdoor field. Warning his opponent, Shin-hail advises the person with red hair that relying too much on strength will cause his body to break down. The person with red hair charges forward with a powerful attack in the outdoor field. Shin-hail braces himself for the incoming strike in the outdoor field. Dodging the attack, Shin-hail evades the person with red hair's strike in the outdoor field. Shin-hail questions if the person with red hair is not overdoing it a little. The person with red hair lets out a strained kook as he continues his assault in the outdoor field. Laughing confidently, Shin-hail lets out a triumphant ha as he attacks with a powerful punch in the outdoor field, knocking him down. Shin-hail lets out a relieved phew as he prepares to counter in the outdoor field. Groaning in pain, the person with red hair lets out an ugh after the impact in the outdoor field. Shin-hail strikes the person with red hair at a brief moment in the outdoor field, where Shin-hail concentrated all his mana into his jaw to minimize the impact. Coughing weakly, the person with red hair struggles to recover in the outdoor field. Shin-hail comments that the outcome outcome is as expected in the outdoor field. Noting his opponent's skill, Shinhale comments that his combat sense is incredible. Shinhale acknowledges that the person with red hair is not just someone with power but also has skills. A holographic display shows Shinhale earning 100 points with a congratulations message in the outdoor field. Observing the sunset, the scene shifts to a serene landscape with a warm sky. Shinhale stands in a forest reflecting on the battle. Shinhale notes that only 3 survivors remain in the competition. Realizing the situation, Shinhale exclaims that now only 2 people are left. Adela appears in the forest, surrounded by a magical aura, remarking that it is a fine night for the final battle. Shinhale stands ready to face Adela in the final confrontation. Facing each other, Adela and Shinhale stand in the forest under a starry night sky. Adela looks at Shinhale with determination in her eyes. Shinhale returns Adela's gaze with equal resolve for the battle ahead. Standing in front of a grand academy building, the scene shifts to a new day with a bright sky. Shinhale appears on a large screen, showcasing his magical abilities in a broadcast. A group in the control room exclaims that there is no way Shinhale could end up being the final survivor in a nationally broadcast academy test. Shouting in frustration, his sister declares that they cannot lay a hand on Shinhale. Speaking with concern, she warns that if this continues, Hale will become a successor. She exclaims that this is unforgivable and absolutely not right. Her brother remains silent, listening to the conversation in the room. Shouting angrily, she calls out to her brother. She demands that her brother say something since Hale took down the Emerald Turtle on his own, and questions how Hale managed to defeat the Emerald Turtle. Pointing at the defeated Emerald Turtle, she notes that it is a live broadcasted test, so the internet must have seen this. She expresses disbelief at the situation. Her brother tells his sister with long purple hair to calm down a bit. She refuses, saying that she cannot stay calm in this situation. Glaring intensely, she shows her determination through her eyes. Her brother admits that this situation is indeed serious. Her brother adds that he is not saying it twice to downplay the issue. Apologizing softly, she offers her apologies to her brother in the room, and asks to stay quiet and not punish her. Questioning her, he asks what he is talking about and why he would punish her. Her brother smirks, showing a calm demeanor despite the tension in the room. Her brother reminds his sister that they are siblings, so there is no need for punishment. Relieved by the response, she thanks her brother in the room. Reflecting on Hale's actions, he comments that Hale has always been sly, snatching up all the good opportunities. Noting that they are siblings but Hale keeps stirring things up, her brother admits that he cannot just leave Hale alone. Unleashing a fiery explosion, a massive burst of flames erupts in the forest under the night sky. Adela casts a powerful spell called Moonlight Bullet in the forest. Adela warns Shinhale that this time she will not be caught off guard and that he should be ready for her battles, even hundreds of times. Recalling a past event, Adela mentions that in the match where Shinhale turned the sun to his side, he did not give her a chance to counterattack. She declares that tonight will be different under the moonlit sky in the forest. Channeling her magic, Adela summons a glowing blue magical circle in the forest. Adela warns Shinhale that she will not give him the chance to counterattack this time. Adela charges forward with a powerful magical aura in the forest. Dodging swiftly, Shinhale evades a barrage of magical attacks in the forest under the night sky. Shinhale struggles to keep up with the onslaught of Adela's moonlight bullets. Adela announces that the number of shots is different from the evaluation this time. Struggling to evade, Shinhale realizes that dodging all of Adela's attacks is impossible in the forest. Adela continues her relentless assault with glowing blue magical circles in the forest. Adela notes that a magic user focused on control and techniques is weak against simple long-range barges. Pointing out a flaw, Adela declares that this is Shinhale's weakness in the forest under the night sky. Adela vows to surpass Shinhale's skill and effort with everything she has. Adela unleashes a barrage of magical attacks in the forest. Reacting to the onslaught, Shinhale lets out a surprised as he faces the fiery explosion in the forest. Shinhale questions whether weakness or something else amidst the magical clash. Analyzing the situation, Shinhale realizes that Adela is just brute forcing him with a magic circle in the forest under the night sky. Adela laughs with a ha, questioning what exactly Shinhale analyzed about her strategy. Adela continues her magical assault with a confident smirk in the forest. Explaining his strategy, he notes that spamming resources like this is not something just anyone can do in the forest. Shinhale counters the barrage of magical attacks with his own magic in the forest. Reflecting on their history, Shinhale notes that this is the first time he has reached Adela since their past encounters in the forest under the night sky. Adela questions why Shinhale reached the fourth circle of magic in the forest. Shinhale prepares a counterattack with a spell called Ice Needle in the forest. Acknowledging Shinhale's move, Adela admits that he noticed her strategy right away in the forest. Casting a spell, Shinhale noticed her attacks through smoke in the forest under the night sky. Shinhale launches a powerful ice-based attack amidst the smoke in the forest. forest. Adela reflects that she achieved the 4th circle of magic about 4 days ago. Analyzing the situation, Adela notes that achieving the 4th circle is not all there is to. She stands in the forest, preparing for the next phase of the battle under the night sky. A close-up of Adela's face shows her determination to continue the fight. Unleashing a powerful attack, Shinhail sends a massive beam of magical energy toward Adela in the forest under the night sky. Adela braces herself as the beam approaches in the forest. Adela declares that she will not fall for such obvious tricks anymore in the forest. Standing firm, Adela prepares to counter Shinhail's attack in the forest under the night sky. Explaining the situation, Shinhail tells Adela that it is not just the 4th circle she has mastered, but also the heart's eye in the forest. It is a secret magic owned by the prestigious Stirt family from Adela's maternal lineage in France. The heart's eye is a detection-type mystic eye, similar to the ruby eye of Kim Kong-in, the Blue Tower Master. Noting that the current Adela combines the Shinbai family's power, range, and versatility with the Stirt family's detection ability, Shinhail comments that this is just a monster in human form, standing in the forest. Declaring her resolve, Adela states that she will now fight with everything she has in the forest under the moonlit sky. She shows her determination to not hold back her strength against Shinhail in the forest. ANF questions Shinhail about the magic he used to take down the emerald turtle and when he plans to show it in the forest. Unleashing her power, Adela summons multiple glowing magical circles that release beams of energy in the forest under the night sky. Shinhail braces himself as the beams of magical energy approach him in the forest. Responding confidently, Shinhail smirks and says he was about to show his magic now in the forest under the night sky. A close-up of Shinhail's eye reveals a glowing red hue, indicating the activation of his mystic eye in the forest. Adela's moonlight bullets, with light attribute mana at 274, dark attribute mana at 713, and water attribute mana at 93, can simultaneously cast 12 times using the Shilling Pairline formula. Preparing his counter, Shinhail concentrates through the inverse helix of the Fernasia equation in the forest under the night sky. Shinhail unleashes his magic with a shout of interference in the forest. Using his interference magic, Shinhail disrupts Adela's moonlight bullets, causing them to veer off just before hitting him in the forest under the night sky. Adela reacts with shock, exclaiming what Shinhail did to her magic in the forest. Shinhail smirks confidently, standing amidst the redirected magical energy in the forest, and asks what he did from her perspective and why her mystic eye did not catch it in the forest under the night sky. Standing in front of the Mystic Council's mansion under the moonlit sky, someone holds a glass of wine. He, visibly shaken, exclaims what kind of magic that was, questioning how it could bend a trajectory in such an impossible way. It's Mystic Council's head Adela's father. Watching the battle on a screen inside the Mystic Council's mansion, they observe Shinhail's fight. Hail's father admits that he doesn't know either, responding to the other person's question about the magic. The other person notes that it is unexpected for Hail to hide something from them, given their closeness over the past year. Shin Inhyuk smirks, calling Hail quite bold for keeping secrets from the Archmage family's head. Shin Inhyuk himself, inside the Mystic Council's mansion. The screen shows Shinhail using his interference magic against Adela in the forest under the night sky. Adela's father reflects that the more secrets they keep from him, the more he sees, showing his determination. Observing Shinhail's growth, Shin Inhyuk comments that he has changed a lot inside the Mystic Council's mansion. The other person agrees, saying it's true that a man has to grow by leaving home, adding a ha in a reflective tone. He admits that during the midterm evaluation, he thought Hail just got lucky, and confesses feeling a little bad saying this in front of Inhyuk, but they thought Hail would shine for a moment and then fade away. Shin Inhyuk concludes that he gets it now, realizing Hail is an AI-incompatible person after all. Reflecting on the past, he recalls that back then, when Hail won, it wasn't really because of skill inside the Mystic Council's mansion. He explains that because of Hail's technique and strategy, eventually, people having analytical information will show up, and continues that once revealed, Hail's limitations will soon fall, especially since Adela excels in analysis. Inside the Mystic Council's mansion, Shin Inhyuk notes that exactly, their daughter's analytical skills are top-notch. A close-up of Shin Inhyuk's face shows his contemplative expression as he says, but a flashback shows Shinhail and Adela in the forest under the night sky, with Shinhail using his interference magic against Adela's moonlight bullets. He mutters Inhyuk. Inside the Mystic Council's mansion, reflecting on his thoughts, a close-up of Shin Inhyuk's face shows his contemplative expression as he speaks, and admits that he is grateful to Hail inside the Mystic Mystic Council's mansion. A flashback shows a younger Adela who lost sight of her goal for the first time, with nothing reflected in her eyes. The flashback continues, showing Adela under the moonlit sky, now with brighter eyes than ever, surrounded by glowing magical circles. He is really grateful that Hale came back, and smiles, noting that Jigu has also started regaining her motivation. The screen shows Shin Hale using his interference magic in the forest under the night sky, with another figure observing. Shin In-hyuk agrees, saying that it's true inside the Mystic Council's mansion. Shin In-hyuk adds that it's something to be thankful for, reflecting on the situation. Under the moonlit sky in the forest, a message declares that the battle is over. Another message urges survivors to please end combat immediately in the forest under the night sky. Standing in the forest under the night sky, Shin Hale looks around after the battle ends. A close-up of Shin Hale's face shows his red eyes glowing with intensity. The scene shifts to a wider view of the forest, where Shin Hale and Adela stand amidst the aftermath of their battle. Adela, also in the forest under the night sky, looks at Shin Hale with a mix of emotions. Adela lets out a soft "hoo," reflecting on the intense battle they just had. Shin Hale smirks in the forest under the night sky, saying what a shame it is that if he had a little more time, he would have won. Adela, looking frustrated, snaps back with a "no way," insisting that no matter how you look at it, she was in a more favorable position in the forest. The two stand together in the forest under the night sky, facing each other after their intense battle. A new character in a suit approaches, telling them that's enough and both of them need to come down now in the forest. The character adds that they should go back, gesturing for them to leave the forest under the moonlit sky. The next day, outside a large building under a bright sky, Adela declares that she was winning the match yesterday. Shin Hale, standing nearby, tells her to forget it, as he was always the one winning. The two continue their playful argument, both showing their competitive spirits. Sunhan, looking annoyed, tells Shin Hale to stop, as he's going to get them kicked out of their rooms for fighting in a troublesome way. Shin Hale and Adela react with frustration, shouting "shut up." Sitting on the floor, admits that this is his room and he just wanted to battle survival together with them. A cheerful scene shows drinks like cola and milk, along with pizza and fries, prepared for a party. He announces that they prepared fries and drinks just for them, excited to celebrate. He starts to sob, overwhelmed by the gesture and the events. In the room, Shin Hale tells him to scooch down as he can't see, as they're about to watch something. Outside, under a bright sky, someone urges them to come on up, as they have to watch the beginning of something. The scene shifts to 14 hours later, showing a cityscape at night under a moonlit sky with tall buildings illuminated. Back in the room, the group is watching a screen with colorful visuals, likely the 14-hour content they mentioned earlier. Feeling asleep, he mutters that it's true, they're monsters, reflecting on what they've just watched. Adela chuckles softly, saying heh, while sitting in the room with Shin Hale under the night sky visible through the window. Shin Hale, looking at her, asks why she's laughing. Adela, smiling, responds that it was just so fun, reflecting on their time together in the room. The group discusses watching 14 hours of analysis footage, with Adela and Shin Hale sitting together in the room. Shin Hale, with a serious expression, admits that honestly, she'd give up and run away halfway through such a long analysis. Adela, looking contemplative, agrees, saying that honestly, she thought she'd give up and run away halfway through as well. Adela, smiling warmly, tells Shin Hale that he has a really good friend in the room. Shin Hale, looking content, agrees, saying that to him, they're almost too good. With a softer expression, simply says, a great friend. Adela, now looking apologetic, says she's sorry in the room. Shin Hale, sitting beside her, asks what's with her all of a sudden. Adela explains that for a whole year, she pretended not to know him, despite wanting to keep her distance and knowing it felt wrong, and now she feels sorry for that choice. Shin Hale, smiling gently, asks Adela why she would be sorry for that. He continues, saying he was the one who chose to keep his distance, so she doesn't need to worry about it. Adela, looking surprised, admits that at first, she kept her distance from that guy too, her expression showing confusion. His friend, now more serious, asks what that is. Commenting, Hale tells he has been awake for a while, and wonders since when. Shin Hale, sitting up, declares that now, he's not the same as he was a year ago. Adela, sitting beside his friend, watches, her eyes showing determination in the room. Shin Hale, with a determined look, declares that he also has reliable comrades in the room, and continues, saying there's something he wants to show them all, his hands glowing with magical energy. Adela and his friend look on in shock, with Adela exclaiming, "This is it." His friend, wide-eyed, shouts that it's impossible, witnessing Shin Hale's power in the room. Shin Hale, surrounded by glowing magical energy, prepares to unleash a moonlight bullet, a powerful spell. Hale with a confident look says that's right. Displaying his magical energy, Shin Hale stands in the room with glowing hands. Shin Hale declares that this is his magic. His friend exclaims that this means something significant and asks if his alteration magic can even target an opponent's magic formula. Shin Hale confirms that he is right, adding that it allows him to see the magic formula. Watching Adela and her friend in the room, Shin Hale stands nearby under the night sky visible through the window. Shin Hale responds that normally, secret magic isn't taught to the family. He explains that this is just something he analyzed and implemented on his own, adding that of course, he had to observe it up close multiple times for it to work. Shin Hale continues that the way he pierced the emerald turtle shell was also with alteration magic. Shin Hale concludes that the shell is practically made of magic, and he interfered with it to weaken its durability. Observing Shin Hale in the room, Hale's friend stands nearby under the night sky visible through the window. He comments that he expects her to be a monster. Adela asks if he needs her to use alteration magic to fully interfere with the opponent's magic again, and explains that it isn't interference magic in the beginning. Shin Hale confirms that she is right, and adds that she catches on quickly. A flashback shows that Adela focuses solely on using Moonlight Bullet in the match. Shin Hale notes that thanks to that, he was able to analyze the mana, concluding that of course, if she had used other spells together, he would have struggled. She admits that not relying on using only Moonlight Bullet was her fatal mistake, and asks if that magic has any other weaknesses. Shin Hale explains that the mana analysis calculations are quite tricky, adding that he can only interfere with spells that come right up to his face. He continues that in real combat, there's not enough time for calculations, so all he can do is slightly alter the trajectory. Adela notes that when the opponent's spell is bending and reversing back, it happens. He concludes that he expects it's not enough time, so that's impossible. Adela exclaims that it's unfortunate and adds that if they reflect now, its effectiveness will be incredible. Explaining even now it's incredible, his friend shouts from behind. He requests that they wait a second. Shouting in frustration, his friend demands that they stay quiet and listen to him. He asks why they are chattering away and overpowering the spell. Shin Hale responds that he doesn't get it. Adela and Shin Hale reveal they are talking about the Olympiad. Hearing this, his friend looks shocked. Declaring his plan in the room, Shin Hale announces that he is taking them to the Olympiad, and pleads for help. He calls out to Hale in distress. Shin Hale responds that he understands. Hale's friend agrees that it makes sense but hesitates. He admits that he doesn't have the skills to compete in such a big tournament. He adds that even though there are 7 classes, getting an academy spot for a 3rd year is tough. Shin Hale reassures him that it's okay and not to worry. Smiling confidently in the room, Shin Hale assures them that it doesn't matter as long as they all participate. Hale's friend exclaims in distress. Adela points out that there are a lot of restrictions, but interference magic will be like a joker card, then explains that in a tearbreaker match, they must protect their magic stone while attacking the enemy to steal their flag in a siege battle. Shin Hale notes that right in tearbreaker and siege battles, it's practically a cheat level magic. Adela and her friend react with shock to the explanation. Questioning the situation in the room, Adela wonders if that's the case and why he has any hidden cards. Shin Hale responds that of course he does. A transition scene shows a gradient background. Outside a building under the night sky, Shin Hale stands with a book in hand. He declares that it's done. Pointing at the ornate room, he asks if they will go in. Inside the room, a girl named Mimir greets Shin Hale. Mimir comments that he is later than she expected. She warns him not to tell her that he didn't get first place. Shin Hale assures her that of course, he got first place. He explains that the points from the Emerald Turtle match were decisive. Reminding, Shin Hale asks why he didn't tell her that he had to win a gold medal in a certain competition. She inquires if it was the Olympiad. Shin Hale confirms that she is right and he talked about it. Mimir adds that interference magic wasn't really used before then. She notes that he told them pretty quickly. Mimir exclaims that there's no way. Surrounded by magical energy, Shin Hale is asked if he did the master interference. Praising Shin Hale in the ornate room, Mimir calls him a successor and says he's amazing. Shin Hale responds that he agrees. He asks if she can find him some books on the realm of destruction. He reveals the 3rd circle master of destruction and declares that it's time for him to step into that realm. A phone screen shows an incoming call from Blue Tiger. Answering the phone in a well-lit room, Shin Hale responds that yes, Tower Lord. He shares that he watched the test video and was amazed, and adds that he never expected to defeat an Emerald Turtle alone. Hale laughs that it was just luck. Blue Tower Master comments that he thinks Shin Hale fought on equal footing with Adela, who has reached the 4th circle. Asking how Shin Hale broke through the Emerald Turtle shell, he acknowledges that he is right and continues, revealing that he also saw how Adela's Moonlight Bullet veered off its trajectory. He admits that at first, he thought it was a mana distortion field, but it wasn't even that. Addressing the Tower Lord on the phone, Shin Hale says he can't share details about his magic. He admits that he got too excited and apologizes. Shin Hale responds that he won't have to answer, and adds that a mage has the right to keep his secrets. He acknowledges that Shinhail's magic is truly fascinating, declaring that he will figure it out himself. He mentions something by the way as he continues the conversation, mentioning a past request in a cosmic setting. Kim on the phone tells Shinhail that he contacted him regarding the elemental mannerite artifact he requested before. Hale asks if it's good or bad news. The man confirms that of course, it's good news. In a high-tech facility, he announces that as of this moment, everything is ready, urging to get serious now. Shinhail reacts with surprise, questioning if everyone isn't overexerting. Laughing in the high-tech facility, the man on the phone says no. He explains that everyone here is a craftsman and unable to resist a new mana stone. Shinhail responds that they must be grinding about the artifact. Kim assures him that there's no need to worry about the artifact. He adds that he'll be looking forward to it until next time. Shinhail exclaims that he has a request. Responding with a question, he asks what Shinhail is on about now. Shaking his head in the well-lit room, Shinhail says no, that would depend. He wonders what kind of proposal Shinhail will make this time and suggests they hear it. Shinhail agrees that yes, it's for this year's Olympiad. He explains that he would like the artifact from the Blue Magic Tower. Shinhail adds that it will be dispatched as the national team's engineers. Exclaiming in shock in the ornate room, Mimir asks what. Hearing that Shinhail is going to fight against a fifth circle user, he adds that it's the competition by the Blue Tower Master. Shinhail questions if he took it too lightly. Kim on the phone explains that Shinhail wants to craft a special artifact for the Olympiad. He agrees with a yes. Kim firmly states that he refuses. Shinhail adds that as expected, it's a reasonable request. Smirking in the high-tech facility, Kim on the phone says that's what he'd like to say, but he proposes that if Hale wins a one-on-one match against a fifth circle user, then the discussion can change. Shinhail reacts with a shocked yes. He highlights that Shinhail is among the strongest participants in this year's Olympiad, and questions if there are two fifth circle mages. Kim responds that he's not doubting Hale's ability, but explains that moving one craftsman requires an astronomical amount of work. Standing in the well-lit room, Shinhail remains silent, as he hears the demands that he show them solid proof that he can win the gold medal in the Olympiad. She asks what his plan is. Mimir points out that no matter how they think about it, defeating a fifth circle mage is impossible. Shinhail responds that for now. He explains that he's secured a grace period of about 10 days. Mimir questions if he's planning to master the match and settle it within that time. Speaking in the ornate room, Mimir points out that if there's a countermeasure possible in 10 days, but mastering won't be easy. She responds that if he really needs to go to the Blue Magic Tower to send engineers, he adds that of course, it's meaningless otherwise. Shinhail explains that in their country, only the Blue Magic Tower crafts artifacts. He questions if the Blue Magic Tower engineers are the best. Mimir agrees that it must be an incredible place. In a high-tech facility, the artifact is being made by craftsmen at 10% completion, and only one currently exists, the elemental manalite artifact, crafted by the Blue Magic Tower. Explaining in the ornate room, Mimir states that the artifact difference in performance will determine the win rate in the tournament. She exclaims that if that's the case, they definitely need their support. Mimir adds that they absolutely have to bring them in. She asks when they get to the trial stage and urges Shinhail to hurry up. Shinhail responds that he's planning to go through all the books. He asks Mimir to prepare for him before he goes in. Mimir reacts with surprise, saying that's a great mindset. She agrees that when Shinhail enters the third trial room, he should send her regards and tell them she's doing well. Asking in the ornate room, Shinhail inquires about the regards and if Mimir knows someone there. Mimir responds that it's a secret. She adds that it wouldn't be fun if he knew in advance. A cosmic transition scene shows a gradient background. Outside the tall building at night, a banner welcomes guests attending the Mado Shurna group and invites them to enjoy the wonderful occasion. Inside the tower, a man announces that at this point, they are welcoming the next head of the Mado Shurna family. Speaking at the event, he says he's too kind and that it was just luck. Hale's brother, revealed as the next head of the Mado Shurna family, thanks everyone, stating that everything he has now is thanks to them. He declares that the future of Mado Shurna is bright. The man adds that absolutely, and on top of that, the youngest master, making a name for himself again. The man, standing nearby, asks if they all saw it. He points out that Shinhail defeated an emerald turtle on his own. Reflecting on Shinhail's abilities at the Blue Magic Tower event, a person comments that once a genius, always a genius, isn't that right? Holding a glass of wine, another person agrees and notes that Shinhail fought Adela, who reached the fourth circle, commenting, Adela facing the secret moon element magic of the Divine Guard family, and highlighting that Shinhail held his own against her, which was truly amazing. Commenting at the event, a person notes that after seeing Shinhail fight Adela, they wouldn't call it a mismatch. Another person adds that if Shinhail had been discovered earlier, he would have been a proper magic user by then. A woman expresses that she's looking forward to Hale's participation in the Olympiad. She agrees, saying me too. The head of the family announces that he's incredibly incredibly pleased with Hale's performance. Everyone reacts, saying Hale is, while his brother with glowing red eyes remarks that at this rate, it seems like the heir's position might be taken by the younger brother, expressing frustration with an and so noisy. Muttering at the event, his brother with red eyes calls Shin Hale that guy, noting that everyone there can't stop praising him, and expresses frustration, saying they don't like it. A flashback shows Shin Hale using magic, with him angrily calling out to him. He reflects that they thought they had finally shaken him off, but now he's back up again. At the event, a person asks where the president went. Another person questions when he disappeared. Outside, his brother with a broken glass of wine on the ground exclaims that this isn't good, adding that this can't be. Standing on a balcony, he mutters about that guy, with eyes filled with anger, declares that he needs to die. In a cosmic setting, with a glowing artifact, Shin Hale is seen reading a book in the well-lit room. He continues reading, focused on his task. Mimir, sitting nearby, exclaims that he's finished reading. Hale, in the ornate room, excitedly confirms that if this is everything, then he is set. She declares that he's read all the books about the magic of destruction. Mimir asks if he has a better understanding of destruction. Shin Hale responds that it's not all, of course. She admits that at least he's got a vague understanding, right? Shin Hale adds that he can grasp the structure somewhat. Mimir explains that it's natural that he doesn't understand. She illustrates her point with a drawing, saying that if you tell a human without wings to move them, they wouldn't be able to understand, right? Nodding in the ornate room, Mimir explains that since the conditions haven't been met, Shin Hale can never understand destruction. Shin Hale, in a chibi form, comments that the drawing is a bit rough, but he gets the idea. Exclaiming in her chibi form, Mimir declares that it's her magnum opus. He mutters about the conditions. Concluding his thoughts, Shin Hale states that to meet those conditions, he has no choice but to enter the passage of the third trial. Mimir confirms that's right, as all the answers are within the third passage. Wondering in the ornate room, Shin Hale asks by any chance. He questions if the person Mimir asked him to send regards to is one who teaches destruction. Mimir responds that if he's curious, he should go and see for himself. She notes that Shin Hale has finished reading all the books now, hasn't he? Shin Hale then asks her to just tell him this. Probing further, he inquires if there's some kind of restriction that prevents him from talking about the third trial's passage. Mimir clarifies that it's not a restriction. Smiling in a shimmering, ethereal space, Mimir stands with a glowing figure in the background. She declares that they have a promise just between the two of them. Glowing with magical energy, an enchanted book radiates power on a table. Wondering in the ornate room, Shin Hale asks if Mimir made a promise with someone. Mimir explains that Shin Hale can't say a single word about the third trial. The book on the table glows with magical energy. Standing in a radiant, mystical space, Shin Hale opens a glowing book. The page of the third trial radiates with power as Shin Hale touches it. Entering a mystical forest bathed in glowing light, Shin Hale stands amidst ancient trees. Shin Hale reacts with shock as a radiant energy surrounds him. He hears Mimir say that he'll understand once he hears it. The glowing light intensifies around Shin Hale's face. A bright, cosmic star shines in the dark void. Standing in a glowing, cosmic space, Shin Hale looks around in awe. Shin Hale realizes that this place is a forest. He notes that it's not just any ordinary forest. Observing the surroundings, Shin Hale sees only ridiculously huge trees. Shin Hale wonders where exactly this place is. Reflecting in the mystical forest, Shin Hale thinks that he'd end up in another strange space like last time. Shin Hale notes that there's no guide and he can't hear his master's voice either. He exclaims that there's no way. The forest glows with an ethereal light as Shin Hale walks deeper. Shin Hale wonders if this entire forest could be the passage of the trial. A vast forest stretches endlessly under a bright, cloudy sky. Gazing at the vast forest under a bright sky, Shin Hale stands on a cliff. Shin Hale exclaims that this is absolutely ridiculous. He marvels that the master's magic truly surpasses imagination. Shin Hale realizes that no matter how far he goes, there's no end. The forest stretches endlessly with glowing lights and towering trees. Standing in the glowing forest, Shin Hale wonders what kind of test this could be. The forest radiates with ethereal light as Shin Hale walks forward. Shin Hale questions if it's an earthquake. He realizes that it's not an earthquake. Something stares at Shin Hale from the shadows of the forest. Trembling in the forest, Shin Hale looks up in shock. A massive dragon with glowing red eyes looms over Shin Hale. Shin Hale stands frozen as the dragon's shadow engulfs him. The dragon's fiery scales and sharp claws dominate the scene. Shin Hale exclaims that this doesn't make any sense. Staring in shock, Shin Shin-hae faces the massive dragon. The dragon looms closer with its fiery scales and glowing eyes. Shin-hae realizes that he didn't notice it at all despite its proximity. Dodging quickly, Shin-hae avoids the dragon's attack. Shin-hae cries out in panic as he moves. He exclaims that this thing is dangerous. Observing the dragon's menacing features, Shin-hae notices its slitted eyes typical of a reptile. The dragon's armor-like scales appear tough as a crocodile's. Shin-hae sees the dragon's claws and fangs as sharp as blades. He confirms that there's no doubt about it, identifying the creature as a rank-exempt disaster drake. Shin-hae recalls that he thought it was just a mythical creature. Realizing the situation, Shin-hae understands that defeating this thing is the test. Gazing at the dragon's menacing eyes, Shin-hae wonders if he can take that thing down. Shin-hae realizes that it's impossible. He exclaims that he can't move. The dragon's lightest breath makes the manna in the air tremble. Shin-hae understands that this thing sees him as nothing more than a puny little prey. Shin-hae questions if he can even escape. Staring at the dragon's menacing eye, Shin-hae feels its overwhelming presence. Shin-hae exclaims that there's no way. He realizes that even at his current speed, he can't outrun the drake. Shin-hae notes that the bigger problem is that his body won't move. He fears that if that thing charges at him now, this is the end. Facing the dragon's towering form, Shin-hae stands frozen in the forest. The dragon's fiery scales gleam as it looms closer. Shin-hae exclaims in shock about what the drake is doing. He notices that the drake isn't moving closer. Shin-hae wonders if there's something stopping it. Looking up in the glowing forest, Shin-hae hears a voice. Someone appears in a radiant, ethereal form before Shin-hae. She praises that Shin-hae's will is impressive, explaining that even when faced with an out-of-class monster, Shin-hae refuses to give up and his will is like steel. She notes that despite the overwhelming situation, Shin-hae remains calm and composed. Speaking in the glowing forest, she tells Shin-hae that he should be able to move now. Shin-hae looks at her in surprise. He asks who she is. She introduces herself as Elena Greenwood and explains that she is the guardian of the forest, a grand mage, and an old friend of Ray's. Shin-hae exclaims that this can't be. He questions if she is a dryad. Proposing a plan in the glowing forest, Elena Greenwood suggests that they drive the drake away first. Shin-hae reacts with confusion. Elena warns Shin-hae that he did not step into her domain blinded by desire. She declares that she will commend him for that. Elena adds that in recognition of Shin-hae's patience, especially for not ruining her garden, she will forgive him, instructing to quietly return to the forest where the remnant of a fallen noble awaits. Glowing in the ethereal forest, the surroundings shimmer with magical energy. Shin-hae notices that the forest itself is resonating, explaining that as the forest is trying to declare that she is its ruler. She warns Drake that if he cannot understand her words, Elena declares that today, it will return to the nothingness of the Forsaken. Gazing at Elena Greenwood in the glowing forest, Shin-hae stands in awe. The drake looms in the background with its fiery scales. Shin-hae exclaims that he couldn't even hear the drake's body, and notes that there wasn't even a sound. Shin-hae realizes that it was just an afterimage. He describes how something had swept across the drake at high speed. Shin-hae wonders what the hell Elena did. The drake's massive form fades into the forest's ethereal glow. Facing the drake in the glowing forest, Elena Greenwood issues a warning, commanding the drake to leave. Shin-hae watches in awe as the forest's energy shifts. He notices that its wounds are healed in an instant. Shin-hae realizes that this is a disaster class being. He acknowledges that the person who faced such a being is Elena, wondering just who Elena really is. Standing in the glowing forest, Elena Greenwood asks Shin-hae if he's alright. Shin-hae confirms that he is. She admits that he must have been quite shocked. Elena instructs Shin-hae to follow her for now. Successor. A mystical treehouse with a glowing blue door appears in the forest. Inside, a cup of green herbal tea sits on a table. Elena tells Shin-hae to try the herbal tea that Ray likes. Sitting in the treehouse, Elena Greenwood tells Shin-hae that he'll start to feel calmer. Shin-hae thanks her. He drinks the herbal tea and feels his mind clear up in an instant. Shin-hae is surprised by the tea's effect. A chibi version of Elena smiles brightly. She says she's glad Shin-hae enjoyed it. Shin-hae asks if it suits his taste. Shin-hae enthusiastically agrees that it's the most delicious tea he's ever had. Elena expresses relief that he likes it. She asks if Shin-hae feels a little calmer now. Shin-hae hesitates in response, admitting he feels embarrassed for showing such an unsightly side of himself. In response, she says there's nothing to be embarrassed about. She points out that the drake is still out there. Elena reflects that just the fact that Shin-hae didn't give up in front of a drake is impressive. Reflecting in the treehouse, Shinhale realizes that it really was a drake. He notes that it couldn't even move. Elena Greenwood explains that even though it's the ruler of the forest, it normally wouldn't even enter her territory. She adds that this time, it must have been too hard to resist. Shinhale looks confused and asks what she means. Elena clarifies that the pure high-density mana that Shinhale carries is like the ultimate candy to a drake. She notes that Shinhale must have looked incredibly appetizing. Shinhale looks flustered. Elena mentions that the drake made that hunger momentarily forget its fear of her. She asks Shinhale if he has any other questions. Nervously, Shinhale asks if this is really inside Idard's book. A vast forest stretches out in the distance, looking surreal. He explains that a world so real that it doesn't feel like being inside a book, adding that it took minutes to walk from the place where the drake was to Lady Elena's house. The scale of this forest is completely different from the previous trials. Shinhale exclaims, wondering where exactly this place is. Elena reveals that this is the third stage. Shinhale reacts with shock, realizing the implications. Thinking back, Shinhale reflects on the drake. He asks if it was really just a fake created by magic. Elena Greenwood reacts with surprise. She clarifies that it's not real, but it's not fake either. Shinhale looks confused and asks what she means. Elena explains that this space is created based on records of the past. A glowing book opens, revealing a forest within Idard's book. Elena adds that this is the Green Wood, a place that once existed. She concludes that it's neither real nor fake. Reflecting in the treehouse, Shinhale processes the revelation. He notes that they recently recreated a world as recorded in the past. The glowing treehouse stands in the forest. Shinhale asks if it's even possible to place it inside a book. Elena Greenwood explains that she doesn't know the details either. She adds that the only ones who could understand this magic are Rei himself or the sole successor of his magic. Elena points out that the successor would be Shinhale. She encourages him, saying that once he reaches Rei's level someday, he'll be able to understand it. Shinhale asks who the master that created this space is. Elena reveals that it was created to pass down certain magic to Shinhale. Curiously, Shinhale asks what kind of magic it is. Elena Greenwood confirms that it is. Shinhale reacts with shock. Elena explains that it's the level of a Bytenian magic third circle master, adding that it's a magic essential for mastering destruction. Elena reveals that it's called the eyes that see through the essence of magic, divine eyes. Inside the treehouse, Elena Greenwood hums softly. Shinhale stands in a void-like space, surrounded by swirling darkness, a world where the five senses have disappeared. Without sight, there is nothing to see. Without hearing, there is nothing to hear. Shinhale stands alone, questioning his state. Without touch, he can't even tell if he's moving or sitting. With the loss of smell and taste, his body has become incapable of feeling any external stimuli. Shinhale wonders if his body is still functioning normally. He questions if, from the start, he even exists. Shinhale, in the void, panics and exclaims that he's still alive, admitting that he's scared and terrified, noting that this is on a different level from just having his vision blocked by darkness blind. It's like his being attacked by a wave of solitude where nothing can be felt in the darkness. Shinhale declares that this is hell. He clenches his fist, his red eyes glowing with determination. Despite his fear, Shinhale reminds himself that this is just training. Still in the void, reflects on what Elena said, recalling that the mind's eye, the ability to see mana, is a sixth sense unrelated to the five senses. Shinhale realizes that this means he can still see mana in this darkness. He focuses his mind, determined to see the mana. Shinhale stands in the void, glowing with a faint blue aura as he concentrates. He urges himself to focus. The glowing treehouse stands in the forest. Elena Greenwood, looking concerned, mutters to herself. She exclaims in shock, wondering how this could happen. Elena explains that no one can stay calm after having all their senses sealed. She describes the effects. After 1 minute, they begin to go mad, concluding that this is the fate of those trapped by the sensory sealing spell. Elena Greenwood reflects that she knows better than anyone how terrifying this spell is. She admits that she had planned to just give Shinhale a taste of it and release it. Elena explains that besides, the way she obtained this spell was by going through it step by step, little by little, barely getting used to it. She notes that the successor, Shinhale, has had all five senses sealed for over 3 minutes already. Shinhale lies on the floor, seemingly unconscious. Elena observes that despite this, he is completely fine. She wonders if this is rather resonating with his mana. Elena concludes that in that case, they can proceed as planned. The glowing treehouse stands in the forest, its light shimmering in the night. Elena Greenwood, looking amazed, exclaims in awe. Shinhale stands, surrounded by swirling mana in vibrant colors. Elena notes that it's already been 20 minutes since the training started, and his breathing is stable. She observes that the mana circle has settled in place, in a perfectly steady state. Elena reflects that this is the successor chosen by Idard's library, recalling that Ray already knew they could endure the sensory sealing spell. Shin-hae, still in the void, calls out to Elena, asking if she's listening. Inside the treehouse, Elena Greenwood reacts with surprise. Shin-hae, still glowing with mana, asks if she could release the sensory block. Elena, looking relieved, agrees and says yes. She raises her hand, and a soft glow emanates as she releases the spell. Shin-hae exhales in relief, saying that he can finally breathe again. He sits on the floor, catching his breath. Elena, standing nearby, asks if he's okay, noting that he moved so suddenly, and asks Shin-hae how he overcame the sensory seal, noting that it must have been an unimaginable terror. Shin-hae responds that a world with all senses sealed is indeed terrifying. He admits that his training is ongoing. Shin-hae adds that he kept telling himself it was safe, but he desperately kept brainwashing himself. He explains that he suppressed his fear and focused only on seeing mana. She concludes that it's not all that scary, as you can overcome it by brainwashing yourself. Hale, looking thoughtful, agrees and says that she's right, noting that he actually gave up in the middle of it. Shin-hae reflects that even if he understands that it's training, his body wouldn't follow if he didn't accept it. He describes a short moment in the darkness that felt eternal, like a hell called solitude. Shin-hae admits that when his concentration broke, a thought suddenly crossed his mind, and concludes that this is still better than a year ago. Shin-hae recalls the moment he learned he was unfit for magic. A younger Shin-hae standing outside a grand building. The day he defined the path of a magician a year ago, he was abandoned by both his family and his father. Recalling a younger Shin-hae walking away from the grand building, reflecting that he was already living in hell. He adds that compared to losing everything and drowning in despair, the sensory seal isn't better than a year ago. Outside the glowing treehouse, Elena asks if the sensory seal is better. Hale, standing nearby, confirms that yes, it is. Shin-hae explains that the sensory seal is just a trial for him to move forward. He stands confidently in the forest, his hand outstretched. Elena, looking at him with a mix of concern and admiration, mutters to herself about just how much he must have endured. Outside the glowing treehouse, Shin-hae reassures Elena that he's fine now. He reflects that it's all in the past anyway. Shin-hae, surrounded by swirling mana, declares that he's now grateful to have found his special path. Elena, watching him, mutters Ray's name with a mix of emotion. She stands in the forest, holding a small object, her expression a mix of relief and contemplation. Outside the glowing treehouse, Shin-hae expresses his gratitude, saying that he's thankful to both Ray and Elena. Elena, standing nearby, reacts with surprise. Shin-hae explains that in the darkness where his senses were sealed, he saw Elena's mana. Visions of glowing mana figures dance around him as he speaks. He adds that her mana was really gentle and at ease. Shin-hae asks if it's because he was influenced by Elena. Elena, looking touched, softly repeats the word gentle as they stand together in the forest. Elena Greenwood, with a gentle smile, reflects that she never thought she'd hear those words again. Addressing Ray, a night sky with a full moon illuminates the forest. The glowing treehouse stands in the background. Inside, Shin-hae tells Elena that he's been going back and forth to see how Mimir is doing. Elena responds that she's glad to hear Mimir is doing well, thanking him, saying it's good news to hear. He adds that he only delivered the message. She tells Shin-hae that if he's met Mimir, he must have heard about her in Greenwood Forest. Shin-hae responds that he hasn't heard much at all. He explains that Mimir said it wasn't something she couldn't tell, as it's a promise Mimir still remembers. Elena adds that she can't keep that promise anymore. Shin-hae, looking concerned, calls out to Lady Elena. Elena, with a gentle smile, reassures him by saying she's sorry as she made the atmosphere heavy for no reason. Shin-hae tells Elena that it's okay, and she adds that since she mentioned a promise, it seems like Mimir has taken a liking to her. Elena, looking surprised, asks if she's wrong. Shin-hae reassures her that they don't have a bad relationship, and asks what exactly this promise is. Elena, with a gentle smile, explains that it seems like that promise is really bothering her. She apologizes, saying it's a secret, just a promise between the two of them, as she recalls a younger Elena Greenwood standing with a small, magical figure, likely Mimir, in a glowing, ethereal setting. Elena tells Shin-hae that she can't tell him or Ray about the promise. Shin-hae, looking curious, asks if that means Mimir must have been a real person in the past, like her. Elena, with a thoughtful expression, says that Mimir still hasn't told her that. She adds that she doesn't think she can answer those questions either, as Mimir is keeping what she can't reveal a secret. Shin-hae responds that if she can't tell him, that's fine. He adds that if it's an oath, it can't be broken. Elena, with a gentle smile, thanks Shin-hae, addressing him as successor, for understanding. A night sky with a full moon illuminates the forest. Outside the glowing treehouse, Shin-hae tells Elena that he should head back today, responding that he'll be counting on her for from now on. She agrees with a simple yes, and adds that she'll have to keep training until she completely masters the divine eye. Shinhale then asks if he can ask one more question before he goes. He inquires about the relationship between Lady Elena and Mimir. Elena, with a soft smile, answers that they are friends. A glowing book with magical energy radiates in the background. Elena Greenwood reflects that they are protecting Bitener's magic alongside Ray. She adds that it's like constellations, even if they are far apart, they are still connected. Shinhale announces that he's back. Mimir reacts with surprise, asking what's going on. Mimir, sitting on a cushion with a stuffed toy, exclaims that Shinhale came back pretty fast. Shinhale tells Mimir that he has school tomorrow, so he came back early. Mimir, looking surprised, hums in response, then asks if Shinhale really went through proper training. Shinhale, with a confident smile, confirms that he did, of course. His eyes glow with a golden light, divine eye. Jokingly, he says seeing all the sluggish mana floating around her, it seems she also did train properly. Mimir, looking surprised, reacts with a what? Hale, with a playful expression, admits to joking but notes that the mana still seems unstable. She reassures that after the training, he shouldn't be this fine, which is strange. Hale says it's fascinating, and adds that her true mana is cold and composed. Mimir, with a mischievous grin, confirms that she is actually a really cold person. She asks Shinhale if he went through the 5 senses sealing training and if he's really okay. Shinhale, with a casual smile, confirms that he's fine. Mimir, looking skeptical, remarks that Elena must have gone easy on him because she's too soft, then asks if it was the magic of the forest that helped. Shinhale, looking confused, asks what the forest's magic is. Mimir, with a dramatic expression, exclaims that Shinhale must have gone through trauma cycle therapy since he didn't develop any trauma. Shinhale, still puzzled, mutters that something's off. Mimir continues, saying that Shinhale went through crazy magic and didn't get any trauma, concluding that he must be some kind of trick. Shinhale, with a playful smile, as she asks what kind of trick he pulled. He adds that he told Mimir about the events from a year ago that he had shared with Elena. Mimir, looking shocked, exclaims what really happened, saying that if it were her, she'd be completely lost. Shinhale reflects that until a year ago, he was completely lost, recalling a younger Shinhale standing alone, surrounded by others who had high expectations of him, but the backlash hit even harder. He narrates that on top of that, he lived in the darkness of despair. Shinhale concludes that now, he sees it as magic training that strengthens his abilities, and that even having his senses sealed wasn't a big deal. She adds that the reason she felt a darkness in the successor was because he was used to such an environment. Mimir, looking sad, asks how that was for him. Shinhale responds that he thought Mimir would just brush it off like nothing. He adds that the serious expression on Mimir's face surprised him. Elena Greenwood, with a gentle smile, says that Shinhale can understand them and that they, too, will become those who understand him. Shinhale, with a playful smile, remarks that it might be a little hard for Lady Elena, but he'll try his best. Mimir, with a curious expression, asks if Shinhale is out of his mind, and adds that since Shinhale says the training went well and asks if he can manage within the promised time. Shinhale, with a confident smile, agrees that of course, he'll do it. A glowing book radiates with magical energy as Shinhale reflects that it's unbelievable how much a year of despair made him realize that he's a lucky mage. He adds that there's no time to stand still now. Shinhale declares that as the successor of legend, he can't stop moving forward. The scene shifts to the Obelisk Academy dormitory, showing a building with a clear sky in the background. Shinhale lies in bed at the Obelisk Academy dormitory, reflecting on his conversation with Elena. Elena Greenwood's voice echoes in his mind, explaining that the divine eye is an evil eye that grows along with the infinity circle. She describes that at the first circle, you can see the flow of mana. At the second circle, you can recognize fragmented structures of magic formulas. At the third circle, you can see through the essence of magic. Shinhale, with glowing magical energy around him, listens as Elena adds that to fully master it, he must be able to see mana whenever he wants, reflecting that he needs to use the divine eye more freely. He doubtfully states that he can do it, right? While lying in bed at the Obelisk Academy dormitory, Shinhale receives a message from the Blue Tower Master. He reads that his opponent, a 5th circle mage, has been decided. The opponent's name is revealed as Ju Hanwook, age 29, blood type B. Shinhale, looking surprised, mutters ha. He exclaims in shock, realizing what this means. And that's it for this story, guys. But if you want to watch this Sigma Hero's tale, like, subscribe, and click below to watch his story. More magical adventures await for you. Check it out.